Shake 'em up, shake 'em up, shake 'em, roll the dice, lucky seven, get those slot machines ready. Let's play some blackjack. Oh, yeah, it's a 3-day weekend, so we're going all in. So bet it all the money on the craps right there, okay? You got black 21, red 25, red 27. It's double or nothing. Las Vegas, AEW. So, yeah, we are here for another review, but, hey, let my co-host introduce himself for today, because I guess we're feeling a little bit lucky about this pay-per-view, I guess.
Yeah, I don't even know about all that, but hey, look, it's your boy Black Shaggy, the best rapper alive. We back in the building, and look, I don't know which way I'm gonna skew on this pay-per-view, positive, negative, because I got a lot of thoughts on both sides, and I'm gonna try and refrain from turning a lot of my thoughts into rants, but we'll see how it goes, man.
Yeah, let's get right into it. So, my first question is this: did you watch the pre-show?
Uh, no, unfortunately, I actually wanted to watch Deanna and Thunder Rosa because they've been building that, and I was looking forward to it. But like I got life stuff going on, so by the time that I turned into the pre-show, it was the freaking six man, and I'm like,
I will say this: I thought it was a solid opener. Well, solid pre-show opener with Deanna and Thunder Rosa. The crowd was into it. This was a hot crowd out there tonight for Las Vegas. And it was actually really enjoyable. Solid stuff. It ended up with Deanna stealing the win by holding on to the ropes to get the pin over Thunder Rosa. So obviously the field, like the feud still continues,
yeah, so they're 1-1.
basically. Because I think, yeah, Deanna held on to the bottom rope while getting the pin and stole the win right there. So yeah, the feud continues with them. But it was a good opener. It was solid.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to see it, man. Like, because I figured it would be good, and like I said, they actually were building it, unlike the other pre-show match. So yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, like it was what it was. So it was good, but obviously we're gonna see another match in the future. So get ready for that. Next, they did have Dr. Martha Hart and Tony Khan. Obviously, I think it was like this week or last week. It's been 25 years since the death of Owen Hart, and the Owen Hart Cup tournament is coming back. But now, this time it's gonna be higher stakes for the tournament. In other words, obviously, it's still be in Calgary and whatnot on July 10th, if I'm not mistaken, or the finals will be on July 10th. But whoever now wins the men and women's Owen Hart tournament will get world title shots at AEW All In at Wembley Stadium. Huh? Doesn't that sound very similar to another company that just did that literally about a few days ago or yesterday, technically?
Yeah, I don't know why this wasn't a thing already. Like, because this is what the third year they're doing it. We said each time, like, what is the point of this? I mean, yeah, it's cool for the remembrance of Owen Hart. Yeah, that's fine, and they donate to the foundation. But what does this actually mean for television? Like, they get these belts that they don't defend, and so what? Like, like, why wasn't this the case from the beginning? And then if this was always the case, then you wouldn't have these app comparisons. And yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate timing because obviously we just got that out of the other company, and now you decide you want to do it. And I don't even know if they only got the idea because WWE did it, or if they already had it in mind to do it. But either way, obviously the optics make it look like you just did it because they did it. So, but yeah, this is third year of this, and why did it take them 3 years to say, hey, these should probably have stakes to them? Because it has done nothing for Adam Cole, Britt Baker, Ricky, or Willow. Like nothing has come from any of that for any of those people.
It's like they just got some like custom made title belts and held them around for like a few weeks, and then you don't even see them again after that. But it's like I just think it's kind of copycatish now that, oh, we're gonna, whoever wins gets a world title shot, and now they'll get a big match all in. And I'm just sitting there like, well, WWE just did all of this, and they was kind of late to say that too. So I just think it's kind of funny that, oh, y'all doing the same thing now. I'm like, talk about being a copycat and whatnot. But now it's like you just said, we're in this 3 years now, and now you want to start giving out title shots. But then it just makes y'all kind of like copycats now because the WWE just did it. So
I don't
you
know
know,
what took them so long either. Like my man waited till the weekend of to be like, oh yeah, by the way, like,
oh
what's going
yeah,
on? Y'all didn't plan this out?
Oh, trust me, me and Kyle went in on that yesterday when we reviewed King of the Ring, and we kind of went on a whole rant about that because I was saying thing. I'm like, why didn't you just say this at the beginning? Why you say this before the damn finals now? It doesn't make sense. And I'm not gonna go into the whole King of the Ring rant and go into the history of it because like I just felt like, oh, now you want to say a title shot when you kind of beat what King of the Ring really means. Don't get me wrong, King of the Ring has gotten people to world titles, but it's a thing that's supposed to upstart, your career and bring you up to a higher level, which it has worked for people and everything. So I just think it's kind of odd that, oh, well, now you get a big title shot at SummerSlam. I'm like, why didn't you just say this at the get go? It's like, why are we
I
waiting
don't
to?
think they do.
I don't understand that, but I'm not gonna go to a whole rant. But I'm like, oh, the master booker, Triple H, there, as everybody likes to say. So I don't know, but I just thought that was kind of odd. Like, just say at the beginning, why are you telling us at the end for? Like, you could just say it from the get go. So yeah, we'll see what happens in this Owen Hart tournament when it happens next month.
Oh,
And
you
the
said the
last,
finals are supposed to be in July?
yeah, that's what they said. That the finals of the tournament will be in Calgary on July 10th.
Okay. And we're about to be in June. Because I would have said I wouldn't be surprised if, considering how the show ended, that somebody like Jack Perry wins this and then he gets a shot at Swerve. But that seems like a long way away from that. So they probably would do that earlier and then somebody else win. Plus, regardless of how, I mean, I guess that's the A story right now, but you're not going to main event All In with Jack Perry. So like, I guess they'll do that before then, and then somebody else will win the tournament and get that shot. Whoever, I don't know,
I
but
feel
yeah.
I, I'll say this right now, and I don't know if it's gonna happen in that, but I still think it's probably gonna be Will Ospreay because it's all in. It's Wembley, it's England, so I think they trying to kind of bet on that in a way. They want him to probably be in the main event of that.
I mean, yeah, but I feel like it's smarter to not have Osprey face Swerve at All In. One, because I don't think you want to divide the audience. Like, obviously, Osprey is going to get the hometown welcome at All In, but like leading up to it, you don't want to split the audience, making them choose, or you know. And plus, I think it's smarter to get two big matches instead of one. Like, if you can find I mean, Osprey being at All In is going to be a big deal anyway. So I don't think you need to put him in a world title match for what he's doing to be a big deal. But in Swerve's case, like if you built somebody else up, a big name for him, whoever that might be, you build them up and you can get a Swerve big world title match and an Osprey big title match too. Then I think that works a lot better than putting them together.
Yeah, because like that's what I feel like they're gonna try to do is probably Swerve and Osprey at Wembley. Like you said, you don't want to divide the fans, but obviously with Osprey being in England, he's like this already the home field advantage and whatnot. And I've been feeling like they've been kind of wanting that for a while because they've been talking about Wembley for months and months on end, and now that they got Osprey, it's like we can end this off with somebody from England and whatnot. Since they making him like this big deal right now, which they like they've been proven. So that's what they trying. I feel like that's what they're trying to go with.
Well, who else is British on the roster? That I mean, there's Pac. Well, I don't know because
Yeah.
I
Who else?
mean, because if they did like Osprey versus Pac for the international championship and then gave Swerve somebody else, but I don't really know who else is European on the roster that you know gave that spot.
True, unless they
Bring
start
in
going to other companies.
yeah, let's say you can bring in Zack Sabre Jr. or something, but I don't know.
That's what I would probably think. Also, either Zach, because I don't know anybody else that is British on the AEW roster. Is it Go Go still there?
I mean, yeah, but come on.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna say other dude. 'Cause I only seen him in one match. The new Dynamite Kid there, which exactly literally looks like the original Dynamite Kid, by the way. Um, but I don't
I
think
mean,
that's
maybe that's the reason why they brought him in because they have this in mind that they were going to build him up, and maybe he gets the match with Osprey, and then you can do Pac versus Swerve instead. Like, I mean, I don't know. It was just random. They just brought him in for that one match, and that was it. So maybe they did have that in mind. That's what they were going to. And him. See, nah, because I was going to say him winning the Owen. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, but no, you're not going to throw him in a world title match at Wembley.
No,
we can't be doing that.
they're not gonna do that. No, no, they have to at least put him for the international one. So we gonna see what happens with that, however they figure out this tournament. But yeah, I get your point. What you're going for. Right after that, we had one more pre-show match: The Acclaim versus Brian Cage and Gates of Agony. I don't even really remember what Max Caster was actually rapping about out here. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
didn't see it.
Dude, it was a 6 man. That's all it really was. And Billy Gunn and them got the
I
win.
saw I saw the last, I'd say like 5 minutes of the match, but I didn't see the rap.
Yeah, yeah. I guess yeah. The rap was the rap. I don't even know if the bars was really all that. Anyways, I don't even remember what happened, what he said. But basically, the Acclaim won. I think what Billy Gunn got the like the inside cradle for the win. And once again, hey, Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony, they're still losing. But when they were
Yeah.
with the embassy, they lost. Without the embassy, they lost. Like Swerve kicks the crap out of all of them. Like, yeah, why are we still taking? Does anybody take these guys seriously, especially Brian Cage?
See, this is like I said. I'm gonna try my best to not turn a lot of what I say into rants. I don't care enough about this to rant about it. But like, what exactly is the point of the embassy? I mean, I guess are they even still the embassy? Because Nana's not with them. So,
I
or
think
is
they called
Brian Cage
themselves the.
just?
I think they were calling them the Cage of Agony, like the Cage of Agony, because I think that's the
Okay.
name now. The Cage of
So the
Agony.
cage of acting. All right, fine, fine, fine. Well, okay, we did this like huge angle, right? Like they made such a big deal about them betraying Swerve, which one they didn't even build to, right? And two, it was just to follow up of Swerve just beating them all up. So I thought when it first happened, I thought this was going to lead. I mean, because the feud is with Christian, so obviously we're not going to get a bunch of like Swerve tag matches with these guys or whatever, because it's not about him versus them. But at the very least, coming out of that, I thought, all right, well, they're breaking away from Swerve, so he can be face and they can do their like ultra heel thing. And nah, they're still just some losers, dude. And on top of that, like that, I mean, that's problem number one. Problem number two, like the acclaimed and Billy Gunner is so dead right now. Nobody cares, man. Like when we get later into the show and I start talking about problems I had with the show, one definitely was a use of the pre-show. Like, why is this match even here, bro? Deanna and Rosa, that makes sense because y'all been building that. But you could have easily put like Orange Cassidy and Trent Baretta on this pre-show and taking this off because who cares about this? There's no build to this. So like they had the one match with Bowens and Brian Cage on Rampage, and I only know that because that's the one Rampage I watched, and I'm like, so that's the build to this match, right? We just got a random open challenge with Bowens and Brian Cage, and now we have our match for the pay-per-view. Like, come on, bro. What are we doing here? This is waste of time, bro. And when
I
I tuned in and saw Billy Gunn roll dude up, I'm like, yeah, okay.
yeah, I don't know what the Acclaimed are really doing right now. It's like, okay, they're not going back after the 6 man belts. Hell, they're not even going after the regular tag team titles. I'm like, I don't know what they're really doing. And then I just see them keep kind of dropping music videos, rapping about something, and I don't even know what they're doing right now. They just there, and we're gonna rap about something, and then the crowd will probably maybe go along with it because I say right now the bars ain't even all that right now with Max Caster, depending what he can come up with it. He's just oh yeah, Brian Cage, your dick's still small. Like okay, come on, give me something new here. All right, come on, rap out something new. I don't know, but no, they just kind of seem to be there. Like so,
It
it's
might
like
be time to break Bowens away from all this, man. Because Bowens is actually really good, and the fact
he
that
has
he's
potential.
pigeonholed to whatever shenanigans they keep doing is like, it might be time to break my man away from this man. I don't know.
He has
But
potential. I'll say that he definitely has potential, but no, I don't know what they're going along with this. So yeah, that was it. The pre-show was the pre-show, but now let's get into the main show to kick off this whole thing. Roderick Strong versus Will Ospreay for the AEW International title. This was one hell of a match. I gotta say that, and it was crazy. One thing you did point out is that they kind of got the Undisputed Kingdom stuff kind of out of the way because they were going to get involved, and they ended up doing like a doomsday device, which they almost like they broke Ospreay's neck. And once again, Wardlow, proving his uselessness of this group, gets in the ring, was going to do something, but the referee ended up catching him then and sent them out. And then Ospreay did a big dive on all three of them, and then they all got sent to the back then. Don Callis, who was on commentary, because you're going to see a lot of Don Callis throughout the entire night. But no, this was a crazy match. One thing that was pointed out was Don Callis getting involved because he kept telling Will Ospreay, do the do the Tiger Driver, and he said he would never do it again. Like, this guy's gonna end up in the hospital anyway. His neck is already done. Just do it. And Ospreay's just frustrated. He doesn't know if he want to go for it and whatnot. Which he was gonna do it, but then he stopped and was just gonna go for the Stormbreaker then, but Roddy got out of it. You'll get the gut buster, hit the big rocket kick, was gonna go for the end of Heartache, but Ospreay ended up dodging, hit the hidden blade on him, hit the Stormbreaker, got the win, and is now the AEW International champion. Which, like I think we said this before, this was gonna be one hell of a match. This was gonna be great. My only problem kind of with this is that y'all fighting for a fourth tier championship belt around here. I'm sorry. Maybe Ospreay will give it some actual credibility now or something. But match aside, it's like this is still like a fourth tier championship. But this was one hell of a match though, and I definitely enjoyed it. So this was a great way to start off the official show for this pay-per-view. Great match.
I actually don't mind that because that's what they're doing with all the championships, like all the titles, mid card or otherwise. I mean, outside of all the tag team stuff, but like in terms of all the singles titles, they're putting like big names on the titles. It's not like the vision for the TNT championship when Cody was here. He was like, "We're not going to call this a mid card belt because it's not less than, it's not secondary because anybody can hold it and it's still prestigious as a championship." And I don't mind that they've got Okada with the Continental and they've got Mercedes with the TBS and they've got Ospreay with the International. Like, yeah, it should be a level to having these championships feel away. It shouldn't feel like this is just a throwaway belt. Nah, put some real people on these titles, man. And I really like that they've got real legit main event people holding the quote unquote mid card championships. This match was on its way to pissing me off because when you say on paper we're getting Will Ospreay and Roderick Strong, I'm like, yeah, give me all of that. I'm here for it. And then we're doing all these shenanigans with Taven and Bennett, and I'm like, I promise you, I did not come to this match for any of this, bro. And then at the point where Wardlow runs in, he's about to power bomb Will Ospreay. The ref sees him, and right off the bat, the fact that the ref didn't immediately throw them out, I was like, what's happening right now? Like, it took a good like 2 minutes before he's like, all right, everybody out of here. I'm like, he's holding him for a power bomb. Like, what are we doing? Like come
Where's
on
the
now.
DQ? Where's the DQ?
Facts, bro. And then finally, I think it was Bryce. Bryce finally just, ironically, Bryce. But yeah, finally he kicks everybody out. I'm like, all right, now we can get to the match, bro. Get all this stuff out the way. Now let's let them cook. And they did cook. It was excellent. Yeah, I had no problem. Once we got past the shenanigans, I was all in on this.
This is a great match. And one thing like you just pointed out, at least you're saying they're putting the titles on people that actually can have some value around here, can make the belt at least seem important. Because I just feel like with a lot of these recent championships, the people they've had the belt on before, you just couldn't really take seriously or just didn't care. Like people like Ospreay, so people actually care because he's a big name in AEW. So that does help. Like overall, though, like you said, the match was great overall. We just had to get past all the shenanigan stuff. But like I said, other than Don Callis being out there too, he didn't really kind of take away from the match. I'm just saying, like, just do the storm, just do the Tiger Driver. He's gonna be in the hospital anyways. His neck's already done and stuff. But Ospreay still want to use the Tiger Driver, and like I said, he just ended up doing his regular stuff and still won the title. But Overall, great match though. Definitely enjoyed it. But we now move on into a segment, I should say now, that's next. Literally right after this match, Adam Cole made his entrance. The man can walk. It's a miracle. It was story time with Adam Cole, baby. And he said he should be at home, rehabbing his ankle right now. But he said he's still one of the greatest pro wrestlers of this generation. He had the devil mask and everything. And he talked about how, the Undisputed Kingdom is still going to take over, even though they just got the crap kicked out of him by one guy literally like a few minutes ago. But as he's
Every
talking,
week, honestly.
yeah, and we don't even see Adam Cole. Like, we don't even see him with the group. Like, the Undisputed Kingdom get beat up every week. Wardlow has just become very non-existent at this point. Apparently, he may have asked for his release, to what I heard. I'm really kind of hoping he leaves now, because this is doing nothing for him. He's just kind of there, and I'm like, yeah, the Undisputed Kingdom has not worked out well for literally anybody, and now we just happen to see Adam Cole again. But then the lights go out, and then next thing you know, there's a room with all the MJF, like a whole bunch of memorabilia, like the scarf and the oxygen tank and the Better Than You Baby shirts and all that. And then he pulled out a picture, where it was a torn picture of him and Cole, which MJF now finally made his big return. We haven't seen him in about 5 matches. This guy literally came out dressed like Triple H from 2002 with the leather jacket with the sleeves and had a Wolverine haircut damn near. But he came out. There was a big holy shit chant. Fans chanting, "You fucked up" at Cole. Cole tried to hug him, and MJF did hug him, but he kicked him in the nuts then after that and hit a brainbuster on him and sent him packing and says, "Get that noodle arm bobble-headed son of a bitch up out of here. He's a shit stain." And, MJF's just going on this very long promo, by the way, that went on almost about 10 minutes. He's just saying he's one of the greatest around here. He's doing his catchphrases like, I don't need New Japan or Vince McMahon to make me, because I made me. And, fans chanting MJF, no more friendship, no more kangaroo kicks, no more bullshit. The old MJF is back. I don't need to love. I just need to hate, hate, hate. And he's going to send everybody packing. And, we're going to remove what happened at the end of the year last year, and basically just buried the whole devil mask thing. I don't need no mask to do this. I don't need no devil. This stuff can get the hell up out of here. He does a whole Ric Flair, take the jacket off with the strut, woo, and an elbow drop, throws it into the crowd, and and by the way, he had a tattoo on the back of his leg, or like the bottom of his
Oh
leg, where
Lord.
it said "Bet on yourself" with the AEW logo. And and there's a lot to say after this, but he talked about his contract status and all that. But one thing he made clear at the end, just like the Wolf of Wall Street, I'm not fucking leaving. I'm not fucking leaving. So, lot to unpack right here. And MJF was definitely needed back on this show for multiple kind of reasons in general. But yeah,
Agreed.
because right now the show has really not been good, and they really need him right now. They really do need him. But yeah, this was a very long promo to unpack. And one thing I thought was kind of funny. My friend Isaiah called, and he didn't watch the show, but when he knew MJF came back, it's like he knew everything he was gonna say without having to watch it. Like, did he come out there and curse a lot? Did he make mention of the WWE? Did he talk about his catchphrases? Did he talk about the devil mask and bury the whole thing? I was like, yeah, how did you know all that? Like, dude, I just noticed. So, like, he got everything correct without even watching it. But yeah, there's a lot to unpack about all this. What you think about it?
Uh, um, my thoughts aren't even on the content. My thoughts are this should have been on Wednesday. Like, imagine like at the Royal Rumble in 2002, Triple H comes out and cuts that promo as opposed to Raw. Like no, bro, you put this on Wednesday. When Adam Cole came out, I immediately started tuning out. Like mentally, I started checking out. Like, what are we doing here, bro? Why are you talking? This is a pay-per-view. Move it along. And I love Adam Cole, but I'm like, what are we doing here? Then the vignette popped up on the screen, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This is all just a vehicle for MJF to come back. I thought the video was going to end with like "See you Wednesday, bitch" or something like that, and that be it. But no, he came out and then cut a very long promo, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, that's cool, I guess. I mean, I didn't mind anything he said. I mean, I know people are tripping about him mentioning Vince McMahon and stuff, but I mean, there's merit to what he said to a certain extent. Like he said, Like I didn't come from New Japan, I didn't come from WWE, and yet I'm still one of the most over people in wrestling. Like that's flex, you know that's something he should flex. I mean, so it didn't bother me at all that he said that. I mean, Twitter's going to Twitter, but my main issue with it is that it just didn't need to happen on the pay-per-view. Um, because especially in hindsight, bro. Once we get to the end of the show at what time it is, and you start looking back on, well, they could have cut this, they could have cut this. This is definitely something that could have been cut because you're not going to cut MJF's return promo short. So why not just open Dynamite with this? Plus, it gives if you tease it right here, it gives people more of a reason to tune in on Wednesday because they're like, oh, MJF is going to come back on Wednesday and cut his return promo. And he's probably still going to do that, which makes this even more unnecessary. So that was really my main issue with it is that you should have just had him do this on Dynamite and cut this short. I mean, that's a smooth 10 minutes out of this show already if this wasn't there.
What do you think about the tattoo?
Oh, the tattoo was lame. I mean, you you're not going to be here forever, bro. So unless you're just really going to memorialize your time here in AEW, then fine, whatever. But it's just like when you get a significant other tattooed on your skin, like, come on, man. It's one thing to do the bet on yourself, but to have like the AEW logo on there and everything, like, what if something goes wrong between you and Tony Khan and you just hate this dude, bro? You hate your experience here, and that's just on you for life. Just like when Ospreay tatted the All In numbers and then they were being disputed and all that. It's like, well, I mean, nobody told you to get a tattoo, bro. like that's just on you now. Whatever you do, it's just on you. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to tell the man what to do with his body, but that getting the AEW logo tatted is insane to me.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit cheesy. I'm like, dude, why would you get that tattoo? It's like, how long you really about to? Unless they keep throwing more money at him, then he probably will stick around as long as possible. But yeah, like I don't know if he about to be here for life. I don't know about all that, but that I was like, dude, why'd you get that tattoo? And I feel like they did the promo here because they know this was a full crowd out here tonight because we've already seen how attendance has been on Dynamite and it hasn't been good and it would have been MJF talking and nothing on the hard cam again. So nobody's over there. So I guess they was like, well, this is a full house here tonight, so we got to do it here. It's like we won't do it anywhere else. And I think
All right,
also,
but to that point though, don't you think if they didn't do the promo, that would make more people want to go to the show to see it on Wednesday?
yeah, that would actually get people to tune in because, like you just said, about instead of doing the promo here, we could just leave a teaser, and then that'll get people to tune into the show and maybe come to the show on Wednesday. Yeah, that would have been a better idea, but I guess they was like, well, it's already people here tonight, so we might as well do it now because we don't know what's gonna happen coming up on Wednesday. I guess that's why they probably did it here right now, and I think also to point out I know he mentioned like New Japan and Vince. I was like he wasn't gonna mention Triple H because I guess he was like, well, I can't talk about him because I may be over there one day. And the dude came out with a Triple H 2002 jacket on. Okay, like come on now, like this is '02 or something. And like I thought he was trying to look like Wolverine for a second with the haircut and stuff. But it's like you say, it wasn't a bad promo. It just didn't need to be almost 10 minutes on this pay per view. And that's why I feel like a lot of people I know was able to kind of pinpoint what he was going to say without really actually having to watch it.
Yeah, 10 minutes at the beginning of Dynamite is a lot different than 10 minutes on an already 5 hour long pay per view. So yeah,
And,
it
and,
it didn't need to be here.
true. And the whole devil thing, I don't know if this is really going to continue with him and, Adam Cole and whatnot, because he basically just said like, I don't need this devil thing, and just buried the whole angle, rightfully so, because this angle has literally done no favors for anybody in this undisputed kingdom thing, and it sucked. It really did suck that bad. It does suck right now. Okay, so I think he's trying to
That
move
still
himself.
sucks.
Like it sucks right now. Like, come on. Like Adam Cole ain't even there. Then he just gets his ass kicked immediately, which makes sense given what happened back at World's End. But it's not like we see Adam Cole on TV in general. So there you go. And it was like, yeah, we just gonna go in here and just do this right now and distance MJF as far away as possible from this, unless they do something on Wednesday. I don't know. But like I said,
Yeah,
it,
that's
it
how I
was
read it too. It felt
Yeah,
like he washed his hands of all of this. Like, I don't think they're going to continue it. If they do, they do. But it definitely felt to me like this was him being like, "All right, I'm back. We're done with all that. We're not going to get no Adam Cole feud. We're not going to fight about this devil mask. Like, nah, we're over all this. I'm moving on."
like the old MJF is back. No more all of this. No more silly stuff and kangaroo kicks. Like no more devil stuff. I'm back to being the old MJF. So, like I said, it was a great promo, but this went on very long, very very long. Next though, the AEW Ring of Honor Unified. I don't even know how many title belts this is they're fighting for at this point, but the 6-man unified belts will just say Bullet Club Gold versus the Death Triangle. Um, I enjoyed this for what it was. It was good. I feel like it has been a lot of 6-man matches we usually see on Dynamite, but Death Triangle finally coming back together, being a group again, and it was good for what it was going, basically until towards the end, which really got the crowd to pop then because Juice Robinson returned. We haven't seen Juice Robinson since like November, and he ended up coming back. Basically, what he did he like knock Pac off the rope? I think it was. I'm not sure, but Jay White ended up
Yeah,
hitting
I
the
think
blade
so.
run. Yeah, Jay White ended up hitting the Blade Runner, and Bullet Club Gold still retains the AEW Ring of Honor. However many 6-man belts they coming out with like 9 title belts out there now. So there you go. But this was what it was, and we got a Juice Robinson return. So um, like I said, just a lot of high paced, fast action. But it's something we've seen before in the past too when it comes to these 6-man matches.
Yeah, this is and I'm going to hate saying this, man, because I'm a lot more into the spot fest than you are, so it is going to pain me to say this, but this just felt to me as I was watching it, and I told you this yesterday. It felt so empty to me, man. I don't know if we've seen this match a million times between Bang Bang Gang and Death Triangle, but it felt like I've seen it a million times. Even if this was the first time it's ever happened, it definitely felt like I've seen this a million times. I was like, as I was just sitting there watching, and I'm like, yeah, this feels like every other match that exists like this, man. And I think it would have been much better served if this was a one-on-one between Pac and Jay White. And the fact that it wasn't, and it was going, and it was going, and I was like, yeah, this nothing about this is bad, but I feel nothing towards this. Like I said, even if it's not the case of this being like one of those matches we've seen a million times, it stunk like it as I was watching it, and I was like, it's not bad, but I just can't get into it, man. Nothing about it is exciting me. And then Juice Robinson showed up, and that made me. First I popped because I was like, "Oh, it's Juice. Oh, cool." Then I was like, "Well, does that mean this is going to continue? Because they got screwed, and I'm not into that." So yeah, I was kind of on two lanes on it, where I was like, I mean, it's fine as a match, but I'm not into it either. So yeah, when it was over, I was like, okay, fine, I guess. But if this is going to continue, I'm not really here for that.
I think I let me kind of add on. I feel like we see so many 6-man like spot fest when it comes to these titles all the time. It just kind of becomes very homogenous, and after a while, it's just like it's the same thing. So that's why I felt like, well, this is a match I probably would have seen on Dynamite, hell, even Rampage and whatnot, because we know
Collision
how.
for sure.
Yeah, even yeah, Collision, definitely Collision, and that too. Because it would have been a wild spot fest with Bullet Club Gold and whatever 6-man team. 'Cause they've been doing that for weeks on Collision. So what made this really different from other past matches we have really seen out of all this? And then when it comes to the 6-man belts, how many people really care about the belts like that?
It's just something for Bang Bang Gang to do, just like it was just something for the Acclaim to do. It's just something for them to do, man, because they're not going for any other belt. So
And that's
when
kind
they
of hard.
say
That's kind of hard to say.
things like the title's a prop, this is what they're talking about.
Low key, that's kind of hard to say about Jay White sometimes because even I be feeling like, man, this guy should be doing something bigger.
Since he got here, I felt that way.
Like I feel like he should be doing something bigger. And they did have him go for the world title, but that didn't even really pan out well and whatnot. So I like right now the position he's in with these 6-man title belts. I've already seen people like, man, what happened to this guy when he was in New Japan? What happened to that Jay White? What happened to the leader, the Bullet Club, and all that other stuff? Which I remember somebody pointed out Wednesday, and you go back and look at his promo. Then somebody in the crowd said, "Who wrote this shit?" Like, didn't somebody say that when he was talking the other
Yeah.
night? And so it's like, because I think people know it's the same promo and whatnot. It's the leader of the Bang Bang Gang, and Bullet Club Gold. It's like him say, "I made a bit in Madison Square Garden, the last rock and roller." All it, you kind of know what he's gonna say after a while. That's why the crowd had to say that. But no, it's like, yeah, what happened to NJPW, Jay White? What happened to that one?
Yeah, I'm going to make a point about that later on, but that keep that in mind that you just said that because I definitely want to touch on that later on when we get to the main event.
Oh yeah, but yeah, the Bullet Club Gold retains. Juice Robinson returns. So there you go. Next, the AEW Women's Championship was on the line. Tony Storm versus Serena Deeb. Definitely a great match here. Definitely great.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the whole match. One thing to point out is that nobody is really gonna turn on Tony Storm, and that they turned on Serena Deeb and have been booing her recently. I don't even think they really booed at her much here, even though she didn't really do any heel like stuff. But people were obviously on Tony Storm's side. You saw people chanting Tony Storm's name literally throughout the entire match. So yeah, it's like yeah, nobody's gonna turn on Tony Storm, and she's supposed to be the heel, but they love her gimmick so much right now. The timeless thing is that they can't help but love it. So that's why they weren't even really with Serena Deeb. And it's kind of crazy because you got Deeb out here talking about her life story and coming back from seizures and all that. But nobody either seemed to care or they booed at her now. So there you go. But this was a great match. This was just awesome to see. I enjoyed it. I still think it's funny her and Sonata do that damn paradise lock in the ring. I don't know why I always find that move hilarious for some reason. But this was great. Even Deeb hitting like the Deeb tox like on the apron in the ring for like a big near fall. But once they got to the end, Tony Storm cut her off, hit the big Storm Zero off the top rope, and even another like one more Storm Zero to even win the match. So this was great. Like the only other story thing you could probably point out of this match was what Luther was gonna throw the towel in or Mariah May, but that wasn't gonna be that, and Tony Storm ended up winning on her own. But yeah, that Storm Zero from the top rope, that was deadly. And the second one right after that, that was deadly too. So hell of a match right here for the women's title. Definitely enjoy it, especially with Deeb and Tony Storm. You already knew you was gonna get a great match out of this.
Yeah, I felt kind of weird when she hit that top rope pile driver. 'Cause I was like, all right, this woman just came back from saying she had 3 seizures and all that, and we're pile driving her off the top rope. Like I was like, all right, like dial it back a little bit. You don't need to do all of that, bro. I mean, it is cool, but I mean, y'all are professionals, but at the same time, I'm like, all right, like be careful, please. But yeah, the story bit you're talking about, Mariah May was going to throw in the towel, and then Luther was like, "No, we're not going to throw in the towel for her, whatever, whatever." And then Tony saw Luther with the towel, so she thought he was the one that was trying to throw it in, while Mariah May was actually the one. So that it's little things like that. This thing with Tony and Mariah May that is just going to end very poorly for one of them, whichever one it's coming. It's just a matter of which one and when. But yeah, man, these are two of my favorite female competitors, like, and they have been for a very long time. So I made the point to you yesterday that yeah, like you said, people don't want to boo Tony Storm, and I just think that's incredibly ironic because while I was over here singing her praises for so long, everybody was like, "Yeah, whatever, man, we want Jamie Hayter," and I'm like, "Okay, but Tony Storm is dope, bro." Like, and nobody seemed to care, bro. But now all of a sudden, she's in her Rhea Ripley bag, where no matter who she's facing, she's the face, and the other person's the heel, even when they're not. So I guess they're just going to have to pivot and start booking her against heels, whoever that might be. I don't know. I mean, we just already they burned through this Saraya thing already, unless they want to revisit that. But at this point, it unless a returning Jamie Hayter pops up, like I don't know who you could put her up against and get her booed. Maybe at the next show or whatever, Mariah May turns on her, and and joins up with what's her name? Was it Mina
Oh,
Shirakawa?
yeah.
So
Stardom girl.
maybe that happens and that turns Tony officially face and Mariah beats her for the belt, whatever the case is. This has been the case for the last three opponents, and it's not quite a Rhea Ripley thing because her opponents are actually credible. Like if Deanna beat her or if Thunder Rosa beat her, I don't think anybody would think that's weird. But at the same time, they're not invested in them as faces more than they are invested in Tony Storm as a character, period, heel or face. So, it does, it makes the dynamic a little strange as you're watching the match where it's like, yeah, this woman pouring her heart out and she's getting the heat spots and all that, but people are booing her. So it's like, okay.
It's that
But
gimmick.
yeah, yeah, it's a great gimmick. Like, I mean, she is. See, people like they want to make it seem like I've seen it so many times where every few weeks or so, people are like, has this Timeless Tony Storm thing run its course yet? And then she just comes out on TV and cuts like a crazy great promo, and it's like, nah, man, it's got legs as long as she can just keep elevating her game because it started off very goofy. But then when she started wrestling like Deanna and Thunder Rosa, it's like, oh, actually, it can be goofy, but when it gets down to the graps, she's taking this seriously and she's still like wrestling y'all like Tony Storm would of old. So now we kind of got this best of both worlds situation where she's doing the more character stuff, but she can still wrestle like Tony Storm too. So yeah, I mean, why not cheer it? It's great stuff. It's just unfortunate for people like Serena Deeb, whose main thing is the wrestling stuff and not the character stuff. So she's got a lot to compete with in terms of getting people on her side. But I thought, just like you said, I thought the match was excellently wrestled. I have no complaints about it. And that's probably one of the only matches I can say that about.
No, yeah, it was great. Definitely great stuff right here. Definitely enjoyed it. Like I said, I don't know who Tony Storm will go against next, unless, like you said, maybe they have Mariah May turn because of the Stardom girl. Because like Mariah May, she almost has a match almost every week on here. And like I said, we've seen Sure Cow come out and make the save half the time, so it could be that because yeah, they had her as the understudy, doppelganger right now. But nah, this was a great match overall. Enjoyed it. So yeah, next. Don Callis back on commentary. I don't know how many times they switched commentary. Was Taz still there at that point, or did they put Nigel McGuinness out there?
No, Nigel was out there because of the Tony Storm match. So I think
Okay,
he
yeah, he was
might
out
have
there for
still
that.
been there for this.
Yeah, because I know Callis was back on. Because I think Nigel. Because I know they moved Taz earlier on and stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of commentary changes throughout most of this show. Best wishes to Jr. though at the same time too, and whatnot. Because yeah, 'cause I think what they say
What
he
was
had the
going on
flu.
with him?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
No, he was back in the hospital.
no, I didn't hear that.
Oh yeah, that was like how many days? Like a couple days ago, because he said himself on Twitter. Basically, he went in for a shortness of breath, and he ended up posting a photo with his kids and whatnot. And I think he even said something last night. Basically, I guess he has a flu or something like that, and is trying to get rid of it. And I guess somebody asked him online. I guess he's still smoking, so he's gonna quit smoking now. So yeah, Jr. had kind of been back in the hospital like a few days ago. Like he's still
Hey,
there.
that'll do it, JR.
Yeah, but he did say like, yeah, I'm quitting smoking now. So, yeah, he had been in the hospital for like yeah, it's been like about 2-3 days now. But he did say he watched the pay per view last night from his hospital bed.
All right, well,
Yeah,
get well soon, JR.
yeah,
But
get
yeah,
well
cut that
soon,
shit out.
cause no, yeah, no, I gotta give Jr. one thing, man. Like somehow, some way, this dude will still make it back, especially with the health, problems he's had recently. And I want to say over the past year or two, I'm like, man, this dude somehow makes it back. Cause like, what, they had to get cancer off his foot. I think he broke his hip at one point, and then he didn't like what he lost his voice at one point, but got that back. But I guess now it's the flu. But he said he was gonna quit smoking now due to shortness of breath. But nah, he's tougher than a $2 steak.
Yeah,
Yeah,
excellent
but yeah,
reference too.
yeah, but no, definitely best wishes to Jim Ross right now. So, uh, yeah, hopefully he's doing better to what I've seen. But next, Orange Cassidy versus Trent Baretta, which I guess they gave Cassidy back his old theme song or something. And listen, I'll be honest, I zoned out of this match. I zoned out. I'm surprised this went damn near 15 minutes. And let me tell you my whole problem with this whole thing, especially with Trent Baretta at this point too. You know, them turning Trent Baretta heel and everything on Orange Cassidy and them. Here's the problem. I've always said Trent Baretta has had potential. I said that a while ago when he got into this company, and I feel like they could have made something out of him if he was on his own. The problem is that you kept him in the damn clown squad for the past 3, 4 years now, and this guy still can't even beat Orange Cassidy. Like, didn't they have some hardcore match on Dynamite like a few weeks ago, and he still couldn't even beat Cassidy there? But now we're just gonna do a regular match after you just had a hardcore match, and I don't even know what was happening throughout this whole feud. I guess they took out Chuck Taylor in some parking lot brawl or forced them to retire or something like that. But it's like, why am I watching 15 minutes of this? And then I'm like, oh, Don Callis is back out there again. And then Orange Cassidy still won with like a counter roll up or something. And then Baretta just looks all frustrated and all that. And he doesn't know what to do. And he just leaves. And Rocky Romero tries to stop him. And he says, like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. I'm out. But I zoned out until like literally the finish. But I'm like, why am I watching this go on this long? Why am I watching this? Why is it still a feud? I don't care. I've already said it before already. I don't care which one turns on in this damn clown squad group. Like I said, Trent Baretta could have been something like a few years ago. Now I feel like it's kind of too little, too late type of thing. But I feel like they're gonna throw him with Don Callis anyway. So I don't know. I don't really care.
All right. Well, now we've reached a point in the show where I said I was going to try to refrain from ranting, and I will. But here we go, man. This match is exactly what was wrong with this show. As a whole, this block that starts right here is exactly why I can't give this show a thumbs up. Orange Cassidy and Trent Baretta, man. If you wanted to do this blood feud personal thing, first of all, you should have had, and I always say this when we come on here, especially about AEW shows, you should have had the forethought that this is what you were going to do. You can't have Trent and Chuck lose every single time we see them, and then expect me to care when they want to break them up. You can't do that, bro. Because why would I care? If they did this with the Dark Order the exact same way, nobody would care, bro. And I don't know why you don't know that they wouldn't care. Like that to me says bad booking, because anybody who read this situation would say, yeah, people wouldn't care about this. Then on top of that, we booked this backwards. We had Trent betray and attack Orange Cassidy for Trent to then go into a feud with Chuck Taylor that lasts not even a week, 7 days. As soon as Chuck was like, no, I'm not with this, they had their parking lot brawl, and then it was over. Wouldn't the thing of this, the meat of this story be between Trent and Chuck, not Trent and Orange Cassidy? Like Orange Cassidy just got Trent even said it himself. He's just a guy we brought in to be our mascot. But you and Chuck have been a tag team forever, dude. Like I was watching New Japan, y'all were a tag team. Like, but instead, the story's not about Chuck. We just got him out of here. Apparently, he's retired, according to Orange Cassidy. Yada yada yada. Now we're getting to Trent and Orange Cassidy. All right, fine. Orange Cassidy wants revenge on what you did to his friend. Fine. We have a hardcore match on Dynamite. Okay. Don Callis is involved for some reason. He's trying to recruit Orange Cassidy, who's the baby face in this story. Don Callis is the heel manager. Okay. Orange Cassidy beats Trent Baretta. Okay, fine. It should be over then, right? No, Trent challenges him to a regular match on the pay-per-view. On the pay-per-view, bro. What? This feud has been so, like, everything about it, and I mean from the jump, everything about before the feud even started, the way you've been building Chuck and Trent, everything about it has been terrible. Terrible, bro. And then the fact that you slap this in the middle of the show, no stipulation, and I gotta sit here and actually care about this? No, bro. Of course I'm not going to care about this. Trent is a proverbial loser on this show. Orange Cassidy has been doing nothing since he lost the international championship, and you expect me to care about any of this? Like, this should have been slapped on the pre-show if you really wanted to do it. You didn't have to put it on here at all, honestly. But the fact that you put it on pay-per-view and expecting me to care about this, that's what I'm saying. This match, just like you, I zoned out, bro. I was scrolling through Twitter, just like, what are people saying about this, man? Because I didn't care. And why would they expect me to care, bro? This was the start of why I started souring on this pay-per-view. It started right here, and it took a very long time for it to get back to me, man.
Yeah, this was definitely a zone out, and I'm just looking at this like I'm like Trent's the heel, and even I'm still wondering, like, why is he coming out with his arm, like, his wrist tape? He got his wrist tape, right? But it's got Chuck, like, I guess, written on it. I'm like, didn't you take this guy out? And Cassidy, they just book him like he's fucking Superman half the time on this show. Because even like, what was it when he went against Trent a few weeks ago on Dynamite? This dude's like taking DDTs to the steel steps and getting thrown to the
Pile
hardest
driver,
part.
bro.
Pile drivers on steel steps and getting back up like it's nothing. It's still got a chair in his hand fighting. Not even getting knocked into the hardest part of the ring, and he just back up like it ain't shit. He's just like, man, they booked this guy. That's Tony's boy. That's Tony's boy. I don't care what anybody said. That is Tony's boy right there. They book him like he's Superman. And I'm like, I'm watching this. Trent loses all the time. He can't beat Cassidy. Now it's like, I'm done. I'm done. Like, yeah, you beat fucking Chuck Taylor. That's not even saying much, honestly. But yeah, it's like they've done nothing but lose. But now we gotta care because they've been a team and a group for several years since this company started. I'm like, well, tell me, how come they never win anything? It's only Cassidy that ever wins. That's it. He the only one that really ever wins out of this whole thing. And now it's like, we gotta have a regular wrestling match on here now. It's like, what was the point of this? What was the point of any of this? Like, I zoned out for like multiple reasons. I don't care about this feud. It's the pocket guy, and it's like none of this makes any sense. So I guess Trent is gonna join Don Callis, because Don Callis did say later on the show we're gonna have a big contract signing with a Don Callis family this Wednesday. So I'm assuming it's gonna be Trent, right? Like, that's the only
See,
thing
that's
I
what,
see
man.
where it's going.
See, that's what I was going to say to you, man. I was like, what's crazy? That this isn't going to be over because they've been teasing this Don Callis and Orange Cassidy thing, which is going to be Trent and not Orange Cassidy, which also isn't going to make sense. Why would Don Callis be scouting the loser of this feud? Like, everything about this is
We
stupid,
gotta
bro. I
replace
hate it so
Hobbs.
much.
We gotta replace
Oh,
Hobbs.
wow, with Trent. Okay.
Oh, don't worry, we're gonna get into more people losing the Don Callis family in a few minutes. But yeah, like, what is Trent? What is Trent? Is he gonna make a difference? Like, what difference is he gonna make? Like, this dude lost again. So what? Oh, he's gonna join up with him now. He's gonna be a winner all of a second. Like, what? You just lost to the fucking pocket guy again. Oh, I'm done. I'm out. Like, no, this was a waste of time, and this did not need to be seen on pay-per-view. Why? So no, this sucked. Okay, it sucked. And moving on into the next thing, which I'm sure a lot of people say are gonna suck next, the FTW title on the line. Chris Jericho, Hook, and Katsuri Shibata in a triple threat match. The Learning Tree. Learn it in, man. No, this is the first of three hardcore matches we had throughout the entire night. So yeah, let's go into this whole thing with Jericho, which I think, like you said before, about him being known about how people don't like him, and WWE, like, using WWE like Def Rebel, because we know how people hate Def Rebel music and they gotta add that stinger in the beginning, the Learning Tree and stuff. But no, we got dice in this match. Like, it's not even thumbtacks, it's dice this time, rolled all over the ring because it's Las Vegas, and we got all these kendo sticks. Then I thought one of them looked like a lightsaber, which Jericho hit both Hook and Shibata with, but they didn't even sell it, and then they just start beating them with the kendo sticks then. And what was one thing they did with the table? Oh yeah, I think Jericho's on the table, and Shibata ended up like picking up Hook. I think he did like a Death Valley driver through it, but he overshot the table, so the table didn't even break. The table just dropped. It didn't even break. And then they set the table back up, so that's a I am the table. put the table back up, set it in the corner. I think Jericho ended up going through it because he took a suplex from it. And like what? Jericho came back, he had a code breaker, and then Hook had the red rum on him. And then Big Bill comes out. He elbows Hook after that. And he's about to put him through some tables outside because it's FTW rules, folks. Which Hook ended up suplexing Bill through the tables. Then big holy shit chant. Jericho's got the walls of Jericho on Shibata, and Shibata gets out of it, puts her to figure four. Then there's a red rum, and then some masked individual comes in. We got a masked individual with a trash can, starts hitting everybody with it, puts it on Shibata's head. It's Brian Keefe. Because I think he said something to Jericho on Collision the night before. I don't remember. And then next you know, Brian Keefe's taking out everybody. Hook takes out Brian Keefe with a kendo stick. And then Jericho hits the Judas effect on Hook. Look to Shibata. Judas affects I think the trash can already on top of his head. Pin Shibata, and Chris Jericho is still the FTW champion. So yeah, this was a garbage match. What more can I say about this hardcore? Wherever this is going with Jericho at this point, is anybody getting over out of all of this? Who's old? Why is Shibata even in this match? I'm surprised this wasn't a rematch with Hook and Jericho. It's like we got Shibata in this just because, and you know he's got a translator and everything. But where is any of this going? So yeah, what's your take? What's your take?
Uh, my take is largely exactly what you just said. But remember, I said when we were talking about Jay White, I said I'm going to say something later about something. Add Shibata and a Hook to that list too. I'm not going to get into it yet, but they're all on the same list. But look, man, last night I said to you, I said while we were watching the Orange Cassidy and Trent match, I said if this is followed up by the Jericho match, then the momentum of this show is going to come to a screeching halt.
You predicted
And
it.
and then as soon as Jericho came out, I said, "Oh, wow, this is really about to be one of those shows." Huh? The show just came to a halt for me, and I mean, people were reacting to stuff, but and I mean that's it's all subjective, right? You know, you're in the building, you're up for shenanigans, you're up to be entertained, you're up for all that. That's fine. At home, watching this, having no interest in any of this, I was just looking at my clock, like, yeah, let's move this along, man. And you know what? I gave Jericho credit early on. Like, I mean, like you just said, I gave him credit for being self-aware, right? Because he knows how people feel about him, and even so much so about the Def Rebel thing. So when he debuted the quote unquote learning tree and all that, I'm like, oh, so he's self-aware about all this stuff. That's pretty funny. That was funny for 1 week. You can't you can't be self-aware and then still do the thing that that people are complaining about. Like you can say it's meta, I guess, but at the same time you're still doing exactly what people are complaining about. Like it's exactly what I thought with the Cody Rhodes thing when he was in AEW and he was teetering on this line of heel face or whatever. And I thought very much he was self-aware about how people were reacting to him and he was getting those reactions on purpose. Well, now with Jericho, it's like, all right, people are over you taking up all this TV time. You're siphoning away momentum from younger wrestlers and this and that. And he's like, oh, I can make that a gimmick. All right, but you making it a gimmick doesn't make it any less true. You're still doing it, bro. We're going to keep this going because Hook didn't win and he didn't get pinned. So it's still going to happen. You're still going to take up the same amount of TV time and you're still going to be siphoning away this momentum from Hook. And I don't know where the line is, between self-referential, degradation and I'm just doing this because I'm Chris Jericho. I can do what I want. Like that line is very thin, and I feel like we're on the wrong side of that line right now, man. This, I'm not into this, man. I'm not into it. I'm not into it at all, man. And I don't. And the fact that it's plaguing so much of the show all the time just makes me not want to watch it. And it's like this went 13 minutes. This went right after another match I didn't care about. And the next match, we'll get into it. But it's just like, all right, this is the wrong kind of momentum. This is a downward slope of momentum. We're going down the ski slope as opposed to getting taken up by the lift, bro. And it took a long time after those two matches for me to get back into the show. So I don't want to spend too, like I said, I'm not trying to rant on this joint, but man, dude, that was two matches in a row. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know what happened to this pay-per-view, but it,
What do
it
you
was
think of
start going down, bro.
what do you think about Brian Keith getting involved and even Shibata also in all of this?
See, I was so upset about everything that I just said. I completely forgot to even mention the Brian Keith thing. That also is a part of it. Jericho siphoning away these young talents and what they could be, man. Brian Keith was one of those guys who is like 2014 Ricochet or shoot, one of those indie guys you hear, or 2020 Warhorse, one of those guys who was so over on the independent scene. They're like, oh, you got to see this guy because this, that, or the other. And then he comes into AEW and he's a perpetual loser. And then he's the quote unquote bounty hunter Brian Keith. The A story is the Young Bucks putting a bounty on all these people. He's not involved in it. Instead, he's over here doing this stuff with Jericho of all people. And I'm like, okay, so he's just here to be the fall guy of the learning tree. Clearly, when they have tag teams and six mans and all that, he's just here to be the guy who gets pinned. He's the Bobby Fish of the freaking learning tree. And I hate that for him, man, because he came in with so much fanfare and this is what he's going to be. I'd love to be wrong, but come on now. What about his booking has suggested he's not just going to be the fall guy for the loaded tree? Like, I'm not into it, man.
Yeah, because Big Bill's in it now. Like he's part of the whole thing, and Ricky Starks just disappears, even though we've already heard him say he doesn't even know why he's not on TV right now. But we have Big Bill and the Jericho thing, and I guess, like you said, Brian Keefe will be part of this Jericho thing too. So I have no idea where any of this is going anymore with Jericho. So like you say, he's self aware about all of this, but and then again at the same time, like, dude, it's the FTW title. Who really cares about this belt? Like seriously, it's the FTW belt. So I don't know. I feel like more people are gonna be added into this whole thing. So yeah, that's one hardcore match throughout the night. But let's move on to the next thing. The IWGP World Champion John Moxley versus Konosuke Takeshita in a non-title match. And the night before, Moxley's arm is heavily taped because Takeshita put a chair on it and stepped on it. So they got Mox's arm heavily taped up and everything, which, you know, they're probably going to focus throughout, which they did. And listen, this was a very good match. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. It was good. I think Takeshita's really good. And what can I really say about all this? Like I said, it's not much I can go on from this, but you know, they focused on Mox's arm. It was taped up and everything, but somehow Moxley still ends up hitting the Death Rider like what, a few times, and gets the win because he did like a curb stomp on Takeshita's head, like I guess on the chair or something, because you know, once again, Don Callis is back out here again, folks. So like I said, more Don Callis. And after Mox hit the curb stomp, he ended up hitting the Death Rider for the win. And I'm sitting there wondering to myself, man, I actually thought Takeshita was gonna get the win here. And I guess we'll get a future IWGP you know, world title shot and whatnot. But I guess they was like, no, Moxley wins. I'm like, I'm very kind of confused what was going on at this point. And I'm sitting there like, oh, okay. So I guess Takeshita ain't really moving up to nothing else right now. Then again, like you said before, we talked about, we barely even seen the guy on TV, and now we kind of see him in a match that's, you know, supposedly meaningful. And I'm like, oh crap, he didn't even get the win right here. Now, because I'm like, maybe get a future title shot, but I'm like, nope, I guess that's not happening. And you know, Moxley, he's got a, and I'm not gonna go into his whole IWGP title reign right now, but hey, he still got to face Evil at Dominion next month, so you know they got to save him for that. Which, by the way, that match isn't even the main event of that pay-per-view coming up next month. So I'm not even really sure where to go on from this, but I actually thought Takeshita was gonna win this match. But I'm like, oh, Mox still wins. I'm like, and hey, you want to talk about another guy they kind of made look like Superman out here? We're focusing on his arm, heavily taped up. You think this would give Moxley an out so he could lose right here? Like, well, they hurt his arm the night before. No, he still wins. He still wins. So, yeah, still, and this is a non-title match. So he still wins. So, yeah. I
Yeah.
I don't know. Good match,
You
but
know, I said at the beginning of this, I didn't know which way I was going to lean, more positive or more negative on this show, and I feel like I'm leaning more negative. And this match is kind of the antithesis of me being positive on this show because I'm a big Moxley guy, I'm a big Takeshta guy, and yet I hated this match so much, bro. You remember? I know you do because you mentioned it earlier. Jay White going after MJF for the world title. MJF is a one-legged man, and Jay White couldn't beat him. It took 20 something minutes, and he couldn't beat MJF with one leg.
yeah.
Yeah, this is more egregious than that because they couldn't let my man Takeshita beat him in an eliminator match. It's not even for the belt, bro. And they still wouldn't let my man win.
and
Takeshita is beating this dude up for the longest time. Moxley's got one arm, bro. One arm. And Konosuke freaking Takeshita can't beat this dude with one arm in a non-title match. Get get this the fuck off the pay-per-view, bro. I hated this so much, bro. I was what and I didn't and the funny thing is I didn't even hate it until it was over. I was enjoying the match because like you said, it was a good match. And I'm a fan of both dudes. But then when it was over, I was like, wait, so all this was just for Moxley to beat Takeshita? Why? What was the point of any of this? I said weeks ago when they announced this that I thought the whole point of this match even existing, let alone on a pay-per-view, but existing was to give Takeshita the win because they made a point saying it's not a title match, it's an eliminator match. So I already had it in my mind the entire time for weeks now that all right, so this whole match was designed that Takeshita's going to get this big win on pay-per-view on Jon Moxley. He's going to get a title match, maybe at Forbidden Door, whatever, down the line, whatever it's going to be. He's going to get a title match. It's going to be a big deal for him. No, the hell with all that. Takeshita lost to a one-armed man on pay-per-view in an eliminator match. What are we doing with this dude, bro? Why did this guy beat Kenny Omega twice within a week, beat Jericho, and now he's just a guy on the roster? What are we doing here, dude?
didn't he just do
I
some
was,
interview? Like, didn't he just do some
yeah,
interview about his booking and all that, and how he's
he's
not
saying the
really
same thing
feeling
we
it?
saying. You don't get it either.
Yeah, I
Like,
understand
bro, am I not Takeshita? Like, what's going on here?
what's
Like,
going on here.
bro,
I
I
thought he
hate it
was
so
gonna
much,
win.
bro.
Because I'm sitting
Look,
there like I really thought he was gonna win, and I'm like, this dude Mox still won after they took out
what's
his
going
arm,
on, dude?
one arm night before, beat it up real bad, and I'm like, what was it? What was this for? Was it to make Mox look strong going into to Dominion? I guess. Like, what was the point? Like, this was a non-title match. This wasn't even for the
You know what
belt.
probably happened here, man? I this had to be politics, bro. This had to be New Japan coming in and being like, yeah, we're nah.
Well,
Like,
Tanahashi was there last night.
it has to be something like that, bro. There's no way Tony Khan booked this match with it in mind that this is how this was going to go. There's no way. It had to be some politics thing, bro. I don't know if it's because Takeshita's a DDT guy. I don't know if it's because Moxley's the world champion and he's got a title defense coming up. Whatever the case is, it had to be a call from somebody other than Tony Khan on that side of the world who's just like, yeah, he's not beating him, bro. And
I'm
if that's the case, if this is how it was always going to end, why not just make it a title match? I wouldn't be so bothered if it was a title match and you didn't do the stupid arm thing. If he just beat him and he defended his title, fine. But because it was an eliminator match, the title's not even on the line, and you gave him an out, and he still beat Takeshita. Then it just has me sitting here like, why was this even on the pay per view? Because it's not a title match. It's not even a title in AEW, and the guy lost. So why did this happen, bro?
I don't get it. And listen, I'm gonna assume because I didn't even watch the media scrum, but I know Tanahashi was there. I think I told you he was on Collision too, so he had to do something with this. I'm gonna assume he is the president of New Japan right now. So I feel like he had to have some type of say in all this. Like it is the IWGP World Title, so I feel like he had something. That's like, oh well, nah, we gotta have Moxie look strong. So yeah, we took out his whole
Tanahashi, I
arm.
love you, bro. You're one of my favorites of all time. I swear you are. But if this was your call, I don't know. You might be on my shit list, bro. this, this was crazy.
And it's like, did we need him to look this strong to go against fucking Evil coming up at
Oh
Dominion,
my gosh, bro.
which by the way, I think I said it's not even the main event for Dominion. Like the damn main event for Dominion is whoever wins the best of the Super Junior. So yeah, the world title can't even main event Dominion. What does that really kind of tell you? Then again, who wanted to see Moxley versus Evil for the title anyways? Like
This
I'm
match
like,
should have been on Dominion for the title.
yeah, like
Stop it.
well, we got Forbidden Door. You know, they announced that.
Oh my gosh, bro. It's not Forbidden Door if the guy works for AEW.
And then again, like, yeah, this guy's not even under contract for AEW. Like this, like the IWGP World Champion is not even under contract for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Yes, we have seen him on New Japan many, many times now, but it's not like he's under contract and he's the world champion. This is why it confused the hell out of me when I saw it live when he beat Naito. I'm like, damn, Naito never even got his damn rematch. I'm like, I thought he would get it at Dominion or maybe Forbidden Door. I'm assuming it's gonna be Forbidden Door now. I don't know, but I
Probably.
I, I'm gonna assume that. But no, like where is this going? So I'm like Takeshta. He doesn't really just. I'm like we keeping him in the same spot. I see. And I'm like, yeah, we got to make Evil look. I guess Evil. I almost thought Evil would have popped up and probably had something to do with this match, but I guess they didn't want to go that crazy. And I'm not gonna go into Moxie's whole title reign so far as IWGP World Champion, unless you've seen the matches already of who he's gone against. But uh, still, like I'm like this did not make Takeshita look good at all. It didn't. And let me say one other thing with New Japan. You know, I think you brought this up to me before in the past. You know, we're talking about the Forbidden Door and everything. How many big stars do they really have on New Japan right now that AEW didn't take or went to the WWE?
Uh, a couple of the same ones. Naito, Tanahashi, although he's pretty much done.
He's
The Saber
there, but
Jr.,
yep. And we have
the
David
Shingo
Finley.
Takagi. No, 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 no,
No, no, no, no, no. He's like, no,
man.
no. Um,
Hell no.
he already beat Shooter. He beat Shooter for the title already. I'm really trying to see who. Damn, there's a lot of people really did leave from New Japan. That's kind of crazy now. Now that I think about it, so that's why I've been wondering. Like, yeah, you talk about Forbidden Door. I'm like, well, the big names they got over there, they took half of them. I'm like, yeah, you got a good point. Unless they start pushing somebody else, I
They'll
don't know.
probably just do the rematch with Naito and then have Naito take it back. Like that. That's probably all it is, man.
I'm gonna assume.
And look, if that's what we're doing, then fine. But like, don't tell me you're going to give Takeshita this opportunity that he has deserved. This guy came into the company, nobody knew who he was, but he got over because he's freaking amazing, dude. And then we did nothing with that. Then we turned him heel and did nothing with that. And it's like, dude, this feels to me like Vince era WWE. Like you're doing everything they're asking of you and more. You're excelling in everything they want from you, and they still don't want to give you anything for it. It's just like why, bro? What an eliminator match against a one-armed man? He can't even get that on paper. Like what are we doing here? This is crazy, dude.
I don't get this. I'm like, I didn't understand that. I'm like, wow, like Moxley really went over. I'm like, I'm assuming NJPW had something to do with that or something, because that
They had to, bro.
or something, because I didn't even understand what was going on with that. So yeah, I don't know where Takeshita moves on, but yeah, Moxley wins. Next, we had a barbed wire steel cage match for the TNT Championship. Edge versus Malachi Black. Edge, who had like, which almost reminded me of his WrestleMania entrance from last year. I don't know what music was playing. I think it was Metallica or something, but he's got like the brood
Slayer.
stuff. Was it Slayer again?
Yeah, Slayer.
Yeah, because literally reminded me of last year with WrestleMania when he went against Finn in that Hell in a Cell match. And this dude's got like the brood stuff out there and all that. And once again, like this is a damn near a street fight out here, and it's very bloody. We got barbed wire baseball bats, we got tables, we got what chairs and all this stuff, and this was very bloody. One crazy thing throughout this whole match where I feel like Edge may have fucked himself up on now at this point, was doing what he put Malachi on a table, wrapped him up with barbed wire, and did a big ass elbow drop from the top of the cage, which you see him limp at the end, but he didn't even like his arm hit him. I almost like he didn't even land on the table all the way. I thought it would have been over after that. I swear to God, I thought like the match should have ended right there. It should have ended right there. And it
Yeah, you
didn't.
said he hit this big elbow on him. I was gonna say, yeah, sort of. He kind of.
Sort of, yeah. And it didn't even end. And then they get back up, and then like Edge tried to go for a spear. Black hits him with the black mask, still a kick out. And then at one point, Black kicked Edge to the outside of the out of the cage. Edge spears him there. They're both bleeding. They both look at each other. The House of Black just kind of stands with Malachi. Then they look like they're gonna stand with Edge because Edge did that promo on Collision. The House of Black could now become the House of Blood and all that. So we knew they weren't gonna turn on Black. They stood with Edge for like 5 seconds, helped him up, start beating him up then. And they start beating him up in the ring. They wrap him up with barbed wire and put like a barbed wire crown on his head, which I seen some people got mad at that because you could even hear the crowd chanting like they call him like Jesus or something, like he's Jesus now. So they were chanting
Yeah.
that. And so I can kind of understand why some people would be kind of pissed off by that. And then next, the lights start flickering red and everything. And then who comes from under the ring? You got what? Brody King just squirming all over the ground because I didn't even know what hit him. And then next thing you know, Gangrel shows up, hits like blood, like sprays blood mist into like Buddy Murphy, and then hits like the House of Black with like impaler DDTs, and then Black end up kicking him, and then Edge end up spearing him then. And then he like took the barbed wire crown off his head and put him in a crossface, and Malachi Black just faded out and Edge won, and Edge's regular music played, and him and Gangrel celebrated, and Gangrel kind of had to help him up to the top of the stage because you could see Edge limping. Like, damn, this was damn near some TNA lockdown match almost. So I was kind of looking at it at first, but this did wake the crowd up a lot. Gangrel obviously popped the crowd, and Edge doing that big ass elbow drop. But yeah, this was a very insane match right here. Okay, we already seen one hardcore match. This is the second one we've seen throughout the entire night. So this did help to wake up the crowd. So really crazy stuff out here. But then again, I'd say one other thing. Like, I'm not surprised Edge won because they did take Edge's wedding ring, so he had to get it back. So yeah, he's still the TNT champion.
Yeah, I'm of a couple minds on this match, man. I mean, for one thing, I mean, Edge has never been one of my favorite wrestlers, like ever, at any point. Even when he was with Christian, I was a Hardy's guy. But I do appreciate that he's doing all this just for the love of ball. Like, he don't got to do any of this, but he just loves it. So he's here and he's doing it. He's doing elbow drops off the top of cages and all that stuff just because he loves wrestling. And and that's cool, man. On the flip side of that, every single Edge match since he's come back has always been this, like he's trying to make it epic or something. I don't know if his time in Hollywood has made him feel like he has to change the way he tells stories, but every single big pay-per-view match for Edge, and even the ones he has on regular TV, like that one with the Pentagon was one of the most egregious examples where every match doesn't have to be this long, drawn out 20-minute epic, bro. Like, I don't know. It's one thing for a match to go long. It's another for a match to feel long because Like a lot of this match was them just kind of walking around. Here's the boom, that's the spot. Walk around, boom, here's the spot. Walker, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I mean, people are bleeding and stuff. That's crazy, you know. And maybe a lot of how I felt about it as I was watching it came from the fact that I sat through 3 matches that pissed me off. But by the time we got to this one, and it was going and it was going, and I was just like, okay, like, this is happening. The Jesus imagery I didn't need, man. It's not the kind of thing that upsets me. I mean, I mean, I believe in all that, but like, it's not the kind of thing that upsets me when I see it, but it's also not a thing I need either. So it doesn't offend me. But when I see it, I'm just like, all right. I didn't immediately go to that because I thought he was just going to hit him with the black mask. Like, obviously, he's putting the barbed wire around his head because he's going to do his head kick. So I didn't immediately put that together until the fans started chanting Jesus, and I was like, oh, is that what's going on? Because Malachi's a Satanist. That's what we're doing. Like, is that what we're doing? Like, all right, I don't really need that. Again, it didn't piss me off, but I was just like, I didn't need that. But
Agreed.
yeah, man, this whole match. I'm glad you said the Collision promo, because I mean, I don't really watch Collision like ever anymore since Punk left. So I was greatly confused why we were supposed to think that the House of Black would join Edge. Like, I was sitting there like, why am I supposed to? Did something happen that I missed? Why would they join Edge? So I'm glad you mentioned that promo. Although I'm not, if that's all they did was that promo, I'm still not sure that's enough to really make us feel like that Swerve is coming and that, oh, Brody and Buddy are going to join Edge now and turn like I was sitting there like, what? Why would what? And then they laid him out, and I was like, yeah, that's what happened. Like, why am I supposed to believe that they were going to destroy Edge? Like, what led up to that? But this whole match being used to get the Gangrel pop, and Gangrel is over here by himself laying out Buddy and Brody King. So I was just kind of like, all right, man. Like, is I don't know, man. I'm all for the old guard, the nostalgia pop. I'm all for that. Like, but come on, man. Brody King is like 2 Gangrels, and Buddy is like not even that far off either. And you telling me this one guy is just about to lay out the whole House of Black by himself? Okay, all right, man. I
Prove
guess so, man.
you got
Yeah, I mean, it's that mystical shit. I guess he sprayed the blood, so that's he's got his full power and all that. But I was just sitting there like, yeah, it woke the crowd up, and it kind of got me back to work too, because I was so down after those last 3 matches that when the Gangrel thing happened, I was like, oh, okay, like, all right, that's fine, I get it. But at the same time, I was like, come on, these guys are all massive. Like, what are we doing here? But hey, I thought the match itself was fine in the end. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Edge style of pay-per-view match where it's got to go long and not too much happens before it starts getting to it. Like when he had that match with Christian on the pay-per-view and they're jumping through ladders and stuff, it
oh
took a
yeah.
long time before that match to kick in. And it's like every match doesn't have to be that way, especially when I'm already feeling like we got so many matches on the show that didn't even need to be here. Now this match is dragging on, and it's kind of like, and I don't know what happened with that elbow drop spot. Like when he did it, first of all, I thought he missed it because but then Malachi went through the table, so I was like, I don't know what just happened. But this man basically did a coup de grace off the top of the cage and landed on his feet. And I'm like, if this man didn't blow out both of his legs, I don't know, because I don't know why he did that like that. I guess he didn't want to land on the barbed wire. I don't know, but I would have rather him just not do that at all than what he did, because that's why I texted you. I was like, insane, because that was crazy that he just did a foot plant off the top of the cage to the floor. That was crazy.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, you shouldn't have put the barbed wire in because I just like he didn't even really land that well. That's why he was limping at the end, damn near. I'm like, this either he's hurt or he's just temporarily hurt because of that. But that was not a good landing, just jumping off the cage like that. And
I
you know,
thought he was going to do a splash, and this man did
that's
like
what
a
I
foot
thought.
stomp elbow drop. Okay.
Why just do a splash? You should just did a splash, not a damn. elbow, because that just did not look. It didn't look good. It did not look good at all. That just looked really rough. But I'm like, well, he's back up, so he's okay. So there you go. But still, though, like there was no point in a way of doing that. And I get, like I say, I guess he didn't want to hit the barbed wire all the way. But no, like you said, when it comes to Edge matches, sometime I know a lot of people will sit there and tell you like Edge is just not that big as a draw as people think he is. But like his time in AEW right now, like I said, it's been a lot of hardcore matches. Like this dude's been doing hardcore matches. Like he just did a hardcore match like what, a few weeks ago with Brody King, and obviously the one with Christian, and like now we're in a barbed wire steel cage. Didn't you say something about like Black wanted this version of Edge or something? He wanted the Brood Edge.
I still
Like,
don't know why, bro. Like I've seen enough of the Collision build to know that this is what he wanted, but I still don't know like why. Like it cost you, bro. Like why would you ever think this was a good idea to bring this out of him? Like would he be easier to beat if he's not this? Like I don't understand, bro. But Malachi just be doing shit.
cause like we got Edge in the suit out there talking, and then they doing the whole drop blood from the sky, like it's like the WWF in like 1998 or something, or hell, even WCW with the new blood, or just dropping things from the sky with all the blood, which everybody said looked like that blood drop looked like it hurt Malachi Black out there the way it fell with full force on him. He really did kind of get knocked by that if you go back and look at it, like how he just slipped and everything. Like we just went straight up full Brood mode and everything. And like just doing this match, like I said, I didn't hate the match and it woke the crowd up, but it's just like still like the where we were gonna go with this all the way. And it's like you said, I wasn't really offended by the whole head crown thing, but I can understand why it didn't need to happen. I can understand why it would have been offend people, because like you just said, it's the Jesus thing, and then people call Malachi Black a Satanist with all the shit he does, what they call black craft. I don't know, but still though, but like I said, I liked it. It woke the crowd. It was cool to see Gangrel and all that. But I'm like, I figured Edge was gonna win anyways. Like, well, they took his wedding ring, but nah, him thinking that look, Malachi, they could join up with me now instead of the House of Black. It'll be the House of Blood. So we're gonna make a new Brood. It's like, so where are we going now? I don't know, but yeah, we had to get like dark. It's almost like fighting Judgment Day again, damn near. It almost reminds
That's
me of
what's
that.
hilarious about all this, right? Because I
It's like
mean,
fighting
Edge was
Judgment
making a
Day.
point. He didn't want to do the spooky stuff in Judgment Day, and that yet here he is doing all this, bro. Like,
We did the blood drop.
you can't pick.
We did the blood drop, and that's why I felt like when I saw the beginning of this whole match, it just reminded me of WrestleMania last year. Like, did he do this with Finn? I just kept sitting there telling myself,
Which
like,
was worse.
and that's
I
a
will
whole
say this match was a lot better than that one. I'll definitely say that.
yeah, like yeah, that's true. Yeah, I agree, because like that one was a rough one last year, and like Edge still won, but yeah, this was a wild one. Next though, the TBS title on the line. Willow Nightingale versus Mercedes Monet. And now it's finally make it or break it time. After 2 months, she is finally going to wrestle, because we spoke on this many times before, but I was like, it's got to be now, make it or break it time, because her time in AEW has honestly felt either like a waste of money, but this is why I said I hope Tony Khan's getting a return on investment on her, because a lot of this has not been good and very wonky going into this match, and I feel like it didn't get a little bit better towards the end, but we have had to sit through a lot of very bad Mercedes Monet promos, which I have already sat there and questioned this before. And I think we have talked about this before. I felt like this is the internet that have hyped her up to this big of a deal that is now backfiring on them. Yes, she was the shit in WWE. No taking away from that. Put on great matches, but I do feel like sometimes with post WWE now, I feel like it's a different story, and people have hyped up like she's this big draw and whatnot. And I'm like, I'm not seeing it. I think I've already said this months ago, even going back to the Battle of the Valley thing. We talked about this. So it's like, this is make it or break it time. This is have to be make it or break, because she ain't done nothing in 2 months but talk, and it ain't been all that. So this is now the time for the match. And she had a big Vegas style entrance with the drum line, which looked pretty cool. Even though I thought the drum line thing was a little bit off, but it still looked cool. but Willow having a big giant friendship bracelet with Stokely and Statlander coming out there with that was something. But the match itself, I thought it was good. It was a good match. I still think the finish looked very. I feel like she should just went for a bank statement. That's what she should have just did instead of doing her moneymaker. What I guess that's what it's called, the moneymaker. That's what's her finish. And yes, Willow is a bigger girl. I understand that, but even I was like, that was the finish. That's the end of the match. Like that. That's it. Like that was the big finish there. I was like, yeah, maybe it works on smaller opponents, yes, but no, they should have went with something different, and it was kind of damn near a clean finish. So yeah, Mercedes went over clean. We only had literally one distraction type of finish with Stokely getting up on the ropes and everything as Willow hit the doctor bomb and all that, and Mercedes still kicked out and all that stuff. But yeah, Mercedes still ended up going over clean, and she won the title and basically headed straight to the back. But then next, Stokely gets all pissed off then, and Statlander pushes him to the ground, says, "We're not gonna do this right now." And next, Statlander's helping Willow up the entrance ramp, but then takes her out, beats her up. Her and Chris and Stokely there just starts laughing in as they beat up Willow. So yeah, now Statlander turned heel, which we all saw that was going to come a mile away anyways. It didn't really happen like that during the match, but it ended up happening in the end. I do feel like this angle did take away now from Mercedes winning the belt, because it's like we talked about this earlier. Does it add credibility now to the TBS title in a way? Yes, you can say that, and that is true. I don't know. Let's see if it moves up numbers and all that. But one thing, I don't think this will never make any sense throughout this whole feud, is that Mercedes got a whole title shot, literally, for no reason. Didn't compete. Didn't go against anybody. It's like, here, free title shot at the pay-per-view. And we're going off a feud that was in New Japan that was over a year ago, which, they had to make sure people remembered it one way or another, even though it just looked like, if you really go back and look at the clip, it was just Mercedes falling off the top rope, if I remember, and that's how she ended up getting injured. Then they had to call that audible and all that. But I feel like a lot of this whole feud was just wonky, and honestly, this whole show was overbooked. But just this whole thing right here, more of this was on. I felt the Willow, Statlander and them turning on. Like I said, Statlander turned on Willow. I feel like that kind of took away from the match, especially at the end, because Mercedes was gone once she won the title. So I think the match was just good. That was it. But it's a lot of things to be said just going into the lead into all of this, even the post stuff after all this, and just many things to tackle on when watching this match. But like I said, it was make it or break it time at this point. So that's what I got.
You can probably mostly predict what I'm going to say. Because I don't make it a secret that like Mercedes is one of my favorite wrestlers, period, man or woman. Um, but I do make it a point not to come on here and refute whenever, like you have every right to feel how you feel about, whatever. We're just here to conversate, not to argue. So I do think a couple of things are maybe a little misguided. I mean, on one hand, there is like just like anybody, any fandom, she's got her toxic group of fans who are going to go at you if you say anything negative about her,
I
and
buried them
maybe they
niggas.
put her on a higher pedestal than maybe she should be, this or that, whatever. But I think there is also another section of the internet that loves to move the goalpost when it comes to Mercedes. Like you just said, you brought up Battle in the Valley, and you and I have gone back and forth in this a lot because I saw when that was all going down, everybody knew that was going to be the show that she was going to be making her post WWE debut at. And that's what really drove interest in the show. And I backed that up by saying, by going by the people in the crowd at the show. A lot of people who you would never see at a New Japan show ever are in the crowd because they know this is the show that Mercedes is going to be at. This is where she's going to be making her big Return to Wrestling posts all the garbage with the women's tag titles and stuff. And right now, nobody in wrestling is really a draw. The brands themselves are what bring people in. The stories themselves would bring people in, unless you're going to slap The Rock on the show, right? Because like the idea is when they brought in Edge, oh, he's a Hall of Famer. He's going to drive numbers up and blah, blah, blah. And then he doesn't. And it's just like, well, whatever. It is what it is. That's because nobody in wrestling is really a draw, period, except, like the Rocks and stuff, like the John Cenas, people who've already been there, done that. But in current era wrestling, the same people, the same 800,000 on an average in AEW, they're going to be watching regardless, period. So when Mercedes comes in and she's got her section of fans and that's it, and people are like, oh, well, she's not a draw because this or that. Yeah, but they're not going to talk about the fact that, big business was selling out while AEW shows don't anymore. That show did because Mercedes was coming in. They don't people people are always just going to move the goalposts when it comes to her because there's just a lot of people who hate her regardless. It doesn't matter what she does. They're waiting for the moment for her to not be great so they can say, I told you so. And that's why I feel like even not being one of those toxic stands of hers, that sometimes I got to be the one that's like, all right, look, y'all are capping on her name, bro. Like a year ago, people were talking about how amazing her matches with Kyrie and Azumi and all these people are. And then she gets hurt. And even on that show, the reception to Resurgence was way different on that show than it was this year. And yet, a year later, she's on AEW television. She's not really lighting the world on fire with these promos. There's no direction about her character or where this is going or anything. Nothing's really happening. And so all of a sudden, people are acting like she's the worst wrestler in the world. And I'm sitting here like, wait, a year ago, we were talking about how amazing these matches she's having is. And yet, just because, for a month and a half, she's cutting these uninspired promos is not the best television. All of a sudden, she's the worst wrestler in the world. And I'm like, why is that? I never had any doubt when we got to this match that it was going to be good. And yet, people are saying, like, even after the match, I thought the match was very good. But even after the match, people are like, Willow carried her. And I'm like, what are we talking? This is Sasha Banks? What are we talking about? Like, I never want to get into like an internet argument with somebody about some wrestling. But I just saw the most hap, bro, leading up to this match and even now after it. Or I'm just like, where have y'all people not been watching wrestling for the last 10 years? What you don't even we don't even have to talk about the WWE stuff. What did you watch last year while she was in New Japan Strong doing these matches? Where were y'all at? What are we talking about here? Like when that tweet came out, because she did that interview or whatever, when she says, I'm the greatest wrestler of all time, I'm the greatest women's wrestler of all time, whatever. And I mean, you could argue whether you believe her or not. I mean, it was likely in character anyway, but
Yeah,
you
I think
could
that was
argue
work.
whether that's true or not. Yeah, I definitely thought it was in character, but even if she meant it, and people are acting like it's the most egregious statement. I'm just sitting here like, what are we talking about? People are like, Rhea Ripley. I'm like, Rhea Ripley? What are you talking about? Like, and that's the only reason why I ever feel like I have to engage about it. Like I said, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. It's all subjective facts. You'll never hear me come on here and say you're wrong because you feel this way about Mercedes, whatever. But my problem comes in when people are egregiously capping on it. And I'm like, well, what's your reason for saying that she is wrong? If she really meant this, what is your reason? Because if we're talking about strictly North America, like it's only like three people you can really talk about in the same lane for reputation. I told it to you. I said, you want to talk about TNA Gail Kim? All right. You want to talk about Alundra Blaze? All right. You want to talk about Mae Young for influence? All right. But like, who else are you going? If you name anybody else other than those three, then I gotta raise an eyebrow at you. Like, what are we talking about here? Trish Stratus? What? Lita? What? Are they having Bailey, Sasha Banks, Brooklyn matches? No, they're not having those. What are you talking about here? And like I said, that's the only time where I got to start like looking at people a little like, is this just because you don't like this woman, or like what is it? Because I never had any doubt that this match was going to be anything less than really good, and yet people are acting like this was always going to be like a bad match or something because she cut some bad promos on television, and that's kind of annoying. Where wrestling has this "what have you done for me lately" mentality. I'm not going to act like those promos and stuff she was cutting on TV were good. They were not. I said that to you straight up. So I'm coming from a very objective place here. I was like, nah, this ain't it. That one where they cut the lights off and she's moaning on the floor or whatever, that was bad. It's terrible. It is what it is. But when people are acting like this woman is so trash or whatever, like she brings nothing to the table, like what are we talking about here? We got two women's matches, two women's title matches on this card, each going over 15 minutes. When have you ever seen that in AEW? Period. When have you ever seen that? Yeah, they got their here and there main events where they just slap them on the end of the show with like whatever. But when have you ever seen this before, bro? Like I feel like even if this match wasn't in my eyes or in your eyes as great as I think it was, I still feel like, and not you, I mean like in general,
I got you.
I still feel like you can't you can't deny what is right in front of you. Like you can argue about ratings, but the fact of the matter is ratings are ratings, man. I mean, what else is AEW doing to gain the following, the attention? Why does it just have to be on her? You think if Becky Lynch's contract ends, she jumps ship, that all of a sudden AEW is going to be doing 1.5 million? Like, no, it's not. That's not even fair to put that on that person. So that's where I know it was a long time with this shit because it has been bothering me for like a month. Every time I see these crazy takes, bro, I gotta see people flooding my shit with Liv Morgan, this and that. And then the minute Mercedes does something, it's like, oh, she's trash, bro. I'm like, what are we talking about, bro? Like, so yeah, that's a long-winded way of saying I thought this match was really good. I never for a second doubted that it was going to be good because she's never been anything but good in the ring. And yet it just seems like that, for whatever reason, is not good enough for people. She's a lot, and I know you're going to look at me crazy for saying this, but she's a lot like CM Punk in that way that people, whether they really hate her or they really love her, she's eliciting a reaction, not like a John Cena way, but like a CM Punk way, because people legit hate these people. Like, whatever they do,
I think it's
people
the ego.
hate these people.
I think
Huh?
it's an ego. I think it's an ego thing.
It might be. Hey, look, I'll be the first to tell you that I can see how she could rub people the wrong way, bro. The way she talks is very condescending, bro, even when she's supposed to be the good guy. But for me, it's all just about in the ring, bro. And when she comes out there and she's faced with like a super baby face and Willow, does that not make great television when you're watching this show and we got this block of time where you're just getting all this stuff you don't care about, and then all of a sudden these two women come out, two black women, by the way, that's fire. These two women come out and the fans are going crazy. They're booing the hell out of Mercedes. They're cheering the hell out of a Willow. They want to see her conquer this woman. Does that not make great television? Like, am I tripping when I'm saying this? Like, why are people looking at me weird when I'm like, nah, this is it right here, bro. I saw a lot of people saying this should have main evented because of that. Because I don't think we reached the peak of what this could have been. But I'm gonna say nah, because the time this show went off the air, yeah, nah, but they were in the perfect spot, bro. While the crowd was still up,
No,
they were
no, no,
still
about main
for it.
event.
I
I was
mean,
folks capping
when,
for
when,
that
I mean, they're going strictly off of response when this match happened and everything, like the crowd reaction to everything that was happening. Like that's what I take away from that. But yeah, man, I thought this was really good. Some people were upset that Mercedes ultimately won clean, but Willow did have her beat. She pinned her straight up 1, 2, 3. The ref just didn't see it. So you could always run it back. They're 1-1 against each other. So if that's what you want to do, then do that. But I my main thing coming out of this is I hope Tony just keeps it going with Willow. Because out of all of this, like all the Mercedes talk, all of that aside, what's important is that now you have three things you can be building to instead of two. Whatever Tony's doing, whatever Mercedes is doing, and now you got this thing with Willow and Stat that could be big if they want it to be. Take that Orange Cassidy Jericho stuff off the pay-per-view and give me three women's matches. Do something like you got some balls, Tony. Like, give me three. You can build it to be important if you really want it to be. And that's just where we gotta wait and see, because that's the thing we haven't been proven yet. So that's my 20-minute rant on that. I'm done.
but no, to also just add a little on in the end of all of this, you talk about the crowd reaction. I thought it was a little bit through both sides because it was a lot of CEO chants at the same time as Willow chants too. Because even it looked like at one point, I didn't know if the crowd was going to turn on Mercedes all the way. Because the problem, like we said before, she needed to be a heel anyways. Because obviously, looked at Willow as the big face, and they tried to go with Mercedes being face. But no, this woman sounds more as a natural heel than being a face out there. And, one thing you talk about reactions and all that. I think, you talk about the stands, you got to kind of blame the stands on this too. Because I think they kind of overhyped a lot of shit. Not the match. I'm talking about like her coming into the company at the same time. Because like I said, we already know the bad stuff in AEW. We've seen the bad promos. Most of the time it's just been her come out there, do your little stripper dance, and then cut a bad promo. We already know that's bad, okay? Like the match itself, like I said, was good and all that and stuff, and we already know where it was leading to, but I feel like now, and what's name just sent me a message about this a few minutes ago. I guess Mercedes' next opponent may be Saraya because she said something on Twitter about going for the TBS title. So it could be that. But like you said, now with Willow, they probably gonna have to capitalize on the face thing with her going against Statlander. We'll see about where that goes next. And like I said, with the Mercedes thing, with her being the TBS champion right now, I'm assuming it's probably gonna be going against Saraya next. And yeah, something you talk about the times of these matches and the length they got. This is actually longer than the women's title, like the main belt from earlier in the show. Like this damn near went 20 minutes.
Yeah, it is kind of to go a few seconds back to what you said. It's kind of ironic. Like if they go to Saraya next, that's kind of ironic because what's happening right now is what Saraya was trying to do when she came into the company, and it just didn't work. Like,
And people,
where
people there.
she came out and cut that promo like she's here to fix the women's division and anything. And Mercedes didn't cut that promo, but that's what's happening, as opposed to Saraya outright saying, "This is why I'm here. This is what I want to do," and that's why she instantly became the heel against Britt Baker. Because it's like, wait a minute, what do you mean fix the women's division? What are you talking about? But yeah, I mean that is interesting that the quote unquote mid card title for the women went longer than the world title for the women. But at the same time, I don't think there was anything they needed to do more in the women's title match than what we got. You know what I mean? Like they hit every beat they needed to. People weren't even really into Serena I mean, You get on Andrade here.
It was a great
Like
match overall.
both matches I thought were very, very good. But if we're talking like strictly coming into this show, what the excitement level was for, I don't think it's egregious that this match got more time than that match did. Like if Jamie Hayter came back and challenged Tony Storm like 3 weeks ago, that's one thing. Both matches go 20 minutes, crazy. But considering how that match was built with Serena Deeb, I feel like it ended before it overstayed its welcome. That's just how I felt about it. Because the last thing you want is a match to drag on just for the sake of doing it. Adam Copeland, but
Don't want it to go too long. Basically, don't want to keep going. We'll get to more dragging later on in this. We're gonna get to the more dragging on in this show. But nah, like the whole thing. No, like I said, I just thought it was good, and obviously now with Statlander and Stokely turning, we'll see where that goes. But I feel like just going into this whole thing has been kind of screwy and wonky, and that's why I felt like this was make or break time, because I just kind of felt like throughout this entire feud, a lot of it has been bad, more bad than good, and I just kind of felt like where's this gonna go, and that's why I said earlier, Tony, hope you get a return on that investment. That's all. That's all I had to say. Like, hope you get a return of whatever this alleged money you paying her. So I can see why WWE didn't do it, but still, yeah, we'll see where it goes.
one thing on the Statlander thing, this better just be Chris Statlander and Stokely just turning on their own. This better not involve anything to do with Trent or otherwise, because they were interacting before this, where he was giving her the look and like, and you saw it where she came out during the brawl with Orange Cassidy and he was giving her the look and she was like, "What are you doing?" Like, and he's like, "We need to wake up and be more, that better have nothing to do with this."
Yeah, yeah, you got a
Stat
good
and
point.
Willow, that's it.
You got a good point there. So yeah, we gotta remember, yeah, she is part of that whole thing with Cassidy. That's a good point. So yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen, but we'll see. Next, the AEW World Championship on the line. Swerve Strickland versus Christian Cage. Swerve coming out there like this is the Warriors come out and play. And Christian with the Christian Coalition out there, which I still question why they even have Nick Wayne's mom, who just stands there and looks taller than everybody most of the time. That's all she really does. And, let me say this going into this. You know, this is supposed to be a big deal for Swerve. And I feel like him is booking as the world champion for several weeks now. Like, man, this man has gotten his ass kicked 3 weeks in a row at one point. And I'm like, this is supposed to be the world champion. Like, it does suck that he's not main eventing the show. This is his first big pay-per-view as the world champion and he's not main eventing it. I feel like he's kind of taken a back seat in a way, mostly due to the whole elite angle going on right now. But this is supposed to be a big deal with Swerve. Even throughout the get-go of all this, like, man, we couldn't even get a big celebration promo from him when he won the world championship. Like, this is supposed to be a big deal, right? Like, this first black AEW world champion, like, he can't even get a promo out there talking, or like, no, we're gonna throw you in a random match with what's his face there, Bart Simpson, Kyle Fletcher,
Off that shit.
Fletcher, I should say, Kyle Fletcher. I guess that's what they're going with now. But no, I feel like Swerve's booking as the world champion has been kind of up and down, and I feel like they've kind of bitched him out a few points here and there. Especially because like what you got Christian and them beating him up, and the mogul people turn on him and they tear out his hair and they hit him with a glass frame of his family and all that. And they took out Nana at one point, and it just kind of got to the point. It's like, man, Swerve should really be the main focus of this show like just the show in general, like Dynamite and all that too. But I feel like the man has kind of taken a back seat, that he can't even really main event damn Dynamite half the time and whatnot. And his booking has been very wonky to me. Like, I feel like they have messed this up in a way. Now going into the match with Christian, I didn't mind the feud. Like, I know it was going to be good, and the match itself was very good too. I enjoyed this match a lot. I thought it was really good because obviously the Coalition and Prince Nana got involved because they kicked Prince Nana out, and then the Coalition got involved, and then they kicked them out after Swerve, took them out and stuff. I did like the whole steel step thing had got involved, and Swerve doing a dive, which he basically landed to the steps, by the way, too. But then, Nick Wayne's coming out back there getting a cutter. Prince Nana's coming out there with a lead pipe and chasing him off then. And I like the big double stomp onto the table and stuff. But I like this going into the end. Swerve hitting like a house call, like when Christian's doing a spear. It then hit like the double stomp and another house call, and he still retained the title. He even celebrated with Floyd Mayweather right there at the end. So I enjoyed the match. It was very good, but I just look at Swerve sometimes. I'm like, man, this dude really should be main eventing the show when it's your big first pay-per-view world title defense. Like, you're the new champion. He should be on a higher level. I don't think his booking has been weird to me. Like, it really has. I know why they're doing it, but Swerve's title reign right now, it's been kind of like it's like it was hot at first, but I feel like they've kind of cooled him down and they're trying to make him hot again. Even last Wednesday, I didn't mind that segment they did with the whole carjacking and Swerve, like, hitting the chair on the car, and then they do a close at him. I'm like, man, that should have ended the show right there. When you really think about it, with the world champion going off the air, hyping up his big title match for the pay-per-view. But I just feel like they've kind of been really screwy with this thing. But I still like the match with Christian, though. I thought this was really good. I definitely enjoyed it. This was still really good.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you said, honestly. I also thought the match was good. I was less into it because I'm an hour ahead of you. So once once it became very clear that this show wasn't going off at midnight and this match was going almost 30 minutes, and I was like, okay. So, like I enjoyed what I was watching, but there was still a part of me that was watching this like, all right, now it's 11:40 and this match we're probably like in the middle of it the way this is going. I don't know what's going on here. So, like, all right now. But yeah, I definitely agree with you about the booking of Swerve. I like to be optimistic about it though, because they have been teasing his involvement in the quote unquote A story with what the Elite are doing. So that tells me that once we get past this Christian stuff, they'll probably be more involved in what Swerve is doing. That's why I brought up the Jack Perry thing earlier, that I feel like now they're going to intertwine. And because they're going to intertwine, that's going to put Swerve where he should be in the A program on the show. That may be that may be me just being optimistic, but it does seem like that's the next natural step, because even Christian getting this title shot was because the Elite were trying to screw over Swerve. So it's not like Christian did anything to earn it. They straight up said, yeah, we're going to give him this match because fuck you, Swerve. That's what happened. So I feel like it can go up from here. But at this point, I do completely agree with what you've been saying about how Swerve hasn't been the focus and the A story isn't around the world champion. That being a bit of a problem, especially since this was his first, championship defense on pay-per-view. It already you don't want to already put him in a certain place, because then it becomes easy to just see him at that certain place. It's like comparing Damian Priest to Cody Rhodes and how they view the world championships. It's like they very clearly see somebody at a higher level than someone else, and you don't want that to be for Swerve. So I agree with everything you said about the match. I agree with what you said analysis-wise about his reign so far. It seems to kind of be a problem with booking babyface champions, maybe across the board. I want to say in AEW, but it might just be across the board in wrestling. Booking a babyface champion, they never really seem to know how to make each and every defense, especially in the early days, feel important. Like it's always a given, regardless of who it is, that the first person is always just a throwaway feud to get that first defense out the way. And no one across the board has really figured out how to get past that. But like I said, hopefully moving forward, they are going to involve him in what they're making the A story with this Elite stuff. And it does seem like that's where this is going. So I'm not ready to shit on it just yet. But if we get, like, if we're in the middle of June and we're still talking like this, then I'm already ready to pack this up, bro. Like we need to get to it, bro.
Yeah, because I've questioned Swerve's booking for a pretty good minute now, and just the way how he's been positioned, and I'm like, man, I know you said like the whole when booking a babyface champion, but I'm like, man, this guy shouldn't be getting his ass kicked 3 weeks in a row, like straight. I'm like, man, I don't know how world champions have done that before, or just not even a big, like I said before, like going back when he first won the title. Like you think it'd be a big celebration and all of that. It was like, no, we're just gonna put you in some 15-minute match with Kyle Fletcher and that's it. I'm like, hell, even like not even going back to a rematch with Samoa Joe. It's like Samoa Joe just kind of low key disappeared just because and whatnot. So yeah, I thought it would have been a rematch back against him, but like you said, with Christian getting a title shot, it's just because the elite put him, like, oh, well, you're just gonna be facing Christian now and all that. But like I said, it was still a really good match. I just feel like he should be on a very higher position than what he already is. Like you're a world champion for God's sakes. Like, come on now. Like
Agreed.
what it just this man should be the main event. I get why he wasn't the main event, but still, he ought to be that high on the card. Like, come on, he's over his hell right now. And like I said, it was a good match. Like, you got Floyd Mayweather out there celebrating with him and stuff. But I just feel like throughout this time right now, I can't say his booking has been the best as the world champion right now. Because even I'm like, they can't keep bitching the dude out here like that. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, obviously, I can't read minds. I guess the idea is to build sympathy for him as the babyface champion, but I don't know, man. I feel like just because you are the babyface champion, it doesn't. I don't like when somebody is a certain way, and because they change their alignment, now they have to act a different way. They have to be booked a different way. Like this man Swerve as a heel was a killer. He's going into people's houses and he's rolling up in Nick Wayne's training facility or whatever, and he's bloodying people and threatening babies and stuff. Like he was a killer. And now that he's babyface, we can't book him like that anymore. He has to be on the receiving end now because you gotta make him maybe not an underdog, but you have to build sympathy for him. And I feel like I don't think you have to do that. I don't care that he is babyface. Look at a guy like Stone Cold, and I'm not comparing Swerve to Stone Cold for anybody who's hearing this and losing their shit. I'm just saying, like, if you look at a guy like Stone Cold, he's the quote unquote babyface champion or whatever, top star babyface, but he always felt like a badass. At no point, even if he's getting attacked or whatever, it never felt like we're getting sympathy for Stone Cold. Are you kidding me? Like, no, Stone Cold gets sympathy. No, he's Stone Cold, bro. He's gonna get his back, and that's gonna be that. But with Swerve, just like you said, man, him being on the receiving end so much in so little time, it starts to create a picture in your mind. You're like, nah, we don't want that for Swerve. Like, I don't care if he's babyface. Like, we need to keep the same energy with Swerve, man. I'm not saying he's got to be like Stone Cold and be up pretty much all the time, but at the same time, you haven't found that balance yet because it was quite a few weeks in a row where my man was on the receiving end rather than the one hunting down and giving out the punishment. And hopefully moving forward, they find that balance again. But now that you said that, now what I said before has got me kind of worried where I was more optimistic because I'm like, all right, well, if he's going to get into the quote unquote A story of the show now with the elite, that means it's still going to be 4-on-1, which means we're probably going to get more of Swerve more on the receiving end than the one dishing it out. And I can't really say I'm into that. So I'm trying to stay optimistic about it, but yeah, I don't know. That now it has me thinking, so I don't know.
And one last thing I want to add to all this too, I think another problem I felt like even when he had the beatdown angles, I'm like, why is he going 15 minutes with Brian Cage out there who barely ever wins in general? So it's like, why is he going 15 minutes with him? Why is he going 15 minutes with Nick Wayne? He should be going out there and murdering these guys after they kick the crap out of them, not doing a whole 15-minute match struggling to beat them. Like he should have did like he did with the Gates and Agony, roll up and hit him with a chain and choke him out or beat him with a whole bunch of weapons and all that. I'm like, why are you going this long with them?
Well, that's just the AEW problem in general. That's not exclusive to Swerve. Because I
Like
was I was upset when Kyle Fletcher was going like 20 with Will Ospreay, and I'm like, what?
we can take him to the limit. Like we taking the world champion to the limit all of a sudden now. Like we're taking him to the limit. Like yeah, we just taking him to the limit because they were both together in New Japan. Like why are we seeing this for? Why did this need to go this long? That's why I kind of question like why is he taking 15 minutes to beat Brian Cage? Like Brian Cage never wins. Same with Nick Wayne. Why is he taking 15 minutes? Why are we having this competitive ass match for? Like
Yeah, it was like what 2 weeks ago that Dax Harwood is going the distance with Kazuchika Okada. Like, yeah, it's an AEW thing, man. It's egregious across the board.
So there you go on that. So yeah, I don't be understanding that. And now we finally move on to this main event, or as a shit show, which is honestly an understatement coming from Justin Roberts. But dude, there's so much to say about this main event or match, if you call it. And we have argued about the Anarchy and Arena match before many times now, and where this has gone, which you have to sit there and even wonder if this is even a match. And even looking at this whole angle, which honestly I question, this angle just started not that long ago. Why are we even already going into an Anarchy in the Arena match in general? Has the feud really gone up to that level where we've gotten to this blood feud? Because I feel like we skipped some chapters going into this already. Like I thought it'd be a big 8-man tag match or something and all that, but no, we're already going to this Anarchy match. Okay, like why are we going into
It's
this?
because it's May.
Because it's May.
Because it's May.
Because
We got
it's
to
May.
do. It's double or nothing. We got to do Anarchy in the Arena.
Because we've done them at all the double or nothings basically, and going into this whole thing, the elite come out, and here's another reason I feel like a lot of people we talked about this angle to why either people buy into it or not. Because the only person I really take seriously out of this is Okada. That's kind of it. Like the Bucks, yes, they're heels and they have to be obnoxious and whatnot. But even I've seen before where people don't even really find them intimidating all that, and some of it has been goofy. I don't take Jack Perry seriously at all, and for multiple kind of reasons. Yes, you says, well, he is getting over as a heel. He's only getting over it at this because of just CM Punk. And here's the thing: AEW fans have positioned him into him being that over because we all know they don't like CM Punk that much and make him as like he's the big bad guy. So CM Punk, not CM Punk, but Jack Perry, I guess they trying to make like he look like some badass and all that. Like, dude, you didn't look like a badass. You damn near got your ass kicked in that fucking video. We all saw that. So how is he exactly over? Like, it's just the fans have forced him into that position because we know how the AEW crowd is gonna go into that. Like somebody said before, this dude looked like he just sells dime bags in the back all day and all that. Like that's why I said Okada is the only one I kind of take seriously out of this whole angle and gimmick of what's going on here and all that, because there's a lot to really detract, not even the match itself, just the angle of how this whole thing has been booked and all of that, because they're going against Team AEW, right? And it's against FTR. Well, Eddie Kingston was supposed to be there, but Eddie Kingston got hurt, so we have Darby Allin in and Bryan Danielson, which I was surprised he was even going to be in this in general, given that he just had that crazy match with Ospreay literally like 2 weeks ago, where we thought this guy was hurt and was going to be out for a minute, but is back in 2 weeks just to do another insane, crazy, hardcore match. And I'm not going to get into the whole Danielson's other thing. Apparently, he's supposed to have surgery soon or something like that because he's already hurt again. Maybe that's why we've seen so much kinetic tape on his back. Darby, who just came back, it ain't been like 2 months, and this man broke his foot, got hit by a bus, and his back, and it's apparently not even medically clear, but he is a different breed of a person, so we know that. So they already attacked the elite right at the beginning of this match, okay? And then we're going to the music thing. And we've seen music play throughout these matches before. But this is where it kind of gets goofy because it's like, turn that shit off and everything. We don't want to hear that music and all of that. It's like, dude, why are we talking about music? That's where it kind of gets a little bit goofy then. I get music just playing without them even addressing it. But then when you addressing it, talking about, let's play this music, everybody. We got the Bucks music. We're going to play a banger. And then Danielson's like, let's shut it off, everybody. We'll play the final countdown because we're spending, what, a hell of money on that. which, yeah, everybody's going to sing along. I'll admit the whole coffin drop with, it's the final countdown, hits at the same time. That was on cue. But then, they got to turn that off. Like, we're already spending $200,000 apparently. Well, yeah, they love paying for licensed music, which the crowd even chanted, we want music. But throughout this match, I guess you could say, we got people going fighting all over the place in the concession stand. Then I guess near the parking lot where it was like, didn't like Darby try to like drown fucking jungle jack off right there into like a pool of water or something. And then at one point they go back into the match, and Okada is going for the Rainmaker, but he flips people off, and then they put Dax through a table or something. And one, we got live murder on here. There's a lot of live murder. So we had Jack Perry drive a truck that said scapegoat to make us believe that he killed Darby Allin, and just crashes into another truck, which looks like he probably could have killed himself in a car accident damn near. But Darby was able to stumble back, which, unscathed, because obviously he moved. But we're doing live murder, comes back, and he's got like a mask. Well, he had the mask at the beginning. What was like a mask with like thumbtacks on it and all that stuff. They had that going on, and he comes back to help. But then the Bucks take him out, and they drag him up, and they put him in the trap door, which I guess they send him down somewhere else then. And everybody's fighting by the poker chips then, and then they like kill Danielson doing a the Meltzer driver and all that stuff, and even Elbow and Dax and Cash through like a table, like Okada did that, I know that. But then, like, next thing you know, Jack Perry stumbles his way back and grabs Tony Khan because he's got to make a cameo in all of this, which he gets thrown. Which, by the way, it took a minute for them to come out on stage just to get thrown into the, off, not even off the stage, just down the ramp, where Darby Allin comes back with a flamethrower, which we saw on Wednesday, which he only burned his pants. Maybe that's why they threw him in that bucket of water. I don't even know if it was water, but it's like that special gel where you don't really catch on fire, like it protects you from fire and all that. So his legs are set on fire, and they immediately fire extinguish him out after being set on fire and everything. Like I said, it's just live simulation murder. And then like they drag Darby back to the ring and have him like hanging on like a cord and stuff for very several minutes. I'm surprised all the blood didn't go to his head and all this stuff. But I'm trying to remember all whatever else went on. It was like I think it was like a shadow machine or something then, and they got him hanging right there. And then Okada, because they got that deal with Reebok now, so they have to make sure they promote that. They got to bring out some Reebok shoes from under the ring, the special Young Bucks ones with thumbtacks on, and they start super kicking Darby Allin while he's hanging. And then Danielson makes the save. He's doing his big comeback, doing his yes kicks and doing the big running knee and all that, and taking everybody else out until they finally get Danielson and, the EVP trigger, and I think it was a Rainmaker, and then you see Danielson crawling, trying to help Darby, which the fans start chanting, please help Darby, and just, Jungle Jack off there comes back, hits him with a running knee, and just wins the match, which it was a spectacle. I think we've said this before in the past. This was all a spectacle. But this is where I feel like it's gotten at its goofiest at this point. Because when you think about this match itself, what stakes were really on the line about all this, huh? We knew the Elite was going to win because we got to make sure this whole Elite angle gets over in general, okay? We know that. But what was really on the line out of all this? Even with this Team AEW thing, you got Dax doing these rah-rah promos. If you saw what he did on Collision doing that, or just on the internet in general, because we've already talked about how much he's talking. And by the way, FTR just loses a lot. Can I say that too? This man, they lose a lot left and right. We kind of seen that for a minute. They're not even really as over as they once were. Danielson, the man's a madman. We already know that. But I'm really sitting there wondering, like, who is this really working for? Is this angle really gotten over with a lot of people, even throughout the entire weeks? Hell, we've seen more CM Punk chants, even from last Wednesday. Look at that. And some people, and don't quote me on this, some people will sit there and tell you, like, when you think about this whole feud and angle where it began with, a lot of people felt like this could have been began with CM Punk and, FTR going against the Elite if all of everything else didn't happen. So, this was a spectacle. That's what I can really say. We talked about this many times in the past, and I know I'm probably going on a little bit too long in this rant about it, but I don't know what else I could really say about this. What, live simulated murder? It was the shits. I don't know. It was just it was a lot of wild ass shit. But yeah, we already know how these anarchy matches work. But there's a point to time where it's like, how much ridiculous can we go until we start entering like CZW, GCW levels of bullshit? I'm just saying. That's just me though. Go ahead. Unless I think of something else.
Hey man, look, you let me get my 20-minute Mercedes rant off, so I didn't want to interrupt you, bro. I was gonna let you cook, let you have it, you know. But I actually was really interested in what you had to say though, because you're coming from it from the perspective of somebody who watched it straight up all the way through last night, where I watched it this morning. So I didn't know if our enjoyment levels, I mean, regardless of, you know, we both know where we stand on the whole CM Punk thing, but just in a vacuum, this match in particular, um, I didn't know how you were going to feel about it after sitting through the whole show, as opposed to me catching up on this match this morning. Uh, the only thing I'll say to refute you, since I did just watch it, Darby lit up more than just my man's pants with that flamethrower, because he was on the ground and Darby was still hitting this man with the fire. I was like, is he supposed to do that? Because that was crazy. Or
That was
he's
a lot
on the
higher.
Perry's on the ground and Darby is still hitting this man with the flamethrower. So the Bucks run over with the fire extinguishers. I'm like, yeah, Darby, all right, you got him, bro. Do you really hate this nigga or what? It was crazy, man. I from the perspective of somebody who watched it this morning as opposed to last night, I enjoyed it. Right? I'm in two spaces with this. Where one, I largely enjoyed it because it was ridiculous. I don't disagree with you saying, how did we get to this point in so short time with this angle where Darby is lighting this guy up with a flamethrower and Jack Perry's trying to hit him with a bus, and like I agree with you that we got to this point very quickly, especially since Darby wasn't even involved in this story before like 2 weeks ago. I mean, I guess he already had some angst towards them because earlier this year with the whole Sting feud and all that. But to the point where my man is bringing a flamethrower out and all that, like that's kind of. I agree that we skipped a couple of steps to get to get to that point, man. When Jack pulled up in the bus and tried to run him down, I'm like, all right. So, like, well, that's kind of a lot, man. But it made for an entertaining spectacle. You said spectacle. I agree. Spectacle is the right word. It did make for a very entertaining spectacle. But that's me saying that because I watched it this morning. This match went 29 minutes, about 30 minutes, which
That long?
means last night when I was watching this and the Bucks are making their entrance at like midnight, that means this show wouldn't have gone off to like 12:40 about.
Yeah, it did.
So if I was watching this live and this match went this long, I don't think I would have liked it nearly as much. So that automatically is going to make me grade it on somewhat of a curve because I know me, and if I was still sitting here at 12:25 and this match was just getting to the Jack Perry and the bus part, and in hindsight, we got like 10, 15 more minutes of match after that, I would have been like, all right, bro, like I'll talk to you later, my nigga. Like with this ain't it. Literally what I did, but I wanted to give this match like a full, straight up fair look at in a vacuum. So that's why I was like, all right, look, it's 12 o'clock. We got to move on because if I sit through this, I don't think I'm going to enjoy it as much. So it is possible that maybe I would have enjoyed it, but I didn't want to take that chance. So I waited this morning and I enjoyed it more because of that. However, That's the one side of it. The negative side of it, I got a couple of things. So earlier I said I was talking about Jay White. Then I was talking about Hook and Shibata. And now I'm talking about this Okada. AEW has a crazy, crazy habit of stealing the aura away from people, where at a point they feel like the biggest deal, they feel like a huge star. And then as the weeks and weeks of AEW television go on, they feel less and less like stars. And that's not me saying, well, over in the other company, they can do. That's not me saying that. I'm talking strictly what I watch on a week to week basis. They have a bad habit of making people feel important and then over time just stripping that away from them. That's what I was talking about with the Jay White match. That's what I was talking about with the Hook and Shibata situation. Shibata just feels like a dude now, man. This guy wasn't even wrestling like a year ago. They were having him do exhibitions and shit because, according to Dave Meltzer, he got his brain taken out or whatever. But like, so it's a blessing that we're able to see him still wrestle at this point. And yet when he comes out, he just feels like a guy. That's crazy. And now we're at this point. I originally was so hyped that Okada came in and joined the Bucks and turned heel and all that because it was fire. I thought the whole angle was heat. Granted, that Rainmaker on Kingston looked crazy, but the angle itself and Okada turning heel almost immediately, I thought was amazing. But seeing him come out dressed like Okada next to the Bucks in their little waiter outfits, next to Jack Perry, who, yeah, he does look like somebody selling a dime bag in the back, and he's competing in this big clusterfuck. It's just like, I don't think this is what anybody wanted from Okada coming into this company. Like, it's one thing to turn him heel. It's one thing to have him affiliated. It's a whole other thing to put him in this match next to these guys. It just, I don't know, man. It just didn't really rub me the right way seeing it. And it was the main point I was trying to make about Jay White earlier, where it's like this guy came from New Japan and he felt like a huge deal. It was a big deal that y'all signed this guy. It was even bigger of a deal that you signed him and WWE didn't. And yet he's here and he feels just kind of like whatever. I mean, he's Continental Champion. So the idea is using Okada's star power to elevate that title. But he's not even really defending the title. He's more focused on this, and this isn't really what I want Okada to be doing. I don't need to see a 30-minute hardcore match with him in his regular gear and he's out here, doing his regular Okada moves in this environment with these people next to him. Like it doesn't feel right to me, man. And talk about a guy who had nothing but aura when he came into the company. Like that coin drops and it's like, wow, Okada's here. But now it's kind of like, yeah, this is what we're doing with them, I guess.
He feels
Yeah,
like another guy.
yeah, man. I'm
That's
not
why
going to say it's Shibata levels of feeling like a guy, but it definitely doesn't feel like Okada anymore. It just feels like a friend of the Young Bucks, and that's a terrible place to have Okada. And then on top of that, main problem with this match, even though I largely enjoyed it, it's the law of diminishing returns, man. I'm sure you're
ooh, a
familiar
lot
with
of
that
returns.
statement. It's like, all right, on one hand, we have seen FTR and the Bucks wrestle each other so many times at this point. It's insane. It's getting to New Day Usos levels now. That in and of itself is already like a portion of this match that I'm like, oh, okay. Then we see so much hardcore stuff in AEW all the time that it's like a match like this doesn't even really stick out anymore. So you have to do stuff like flamethrowers and hitting people with buses and hanging them upside down. Like you have to do that to try and differentiate from the regular hardcore stuff that we pretty much get on a weekly basis. And it's just like, yeah, man, while I enjoyed it because I watched it this morning as opposed to last night, at the same time, it's like Okada just feels like a guy. I'm tired of seeing FTR in the Bucks now for a match that once felt special. Like, oh my gosh, we can actually get FTR in the Bucks. And now I'm seeing it like so much, and all the hardcore stuff that we see. I'm kind of just like, I'm cool on it, bro. It was fine. It was all right. It kind of all evened out at the end how I felt on both sides, but yeah, man, that's it.
Well, yeah, because that's my thing about it. That's why I kind of felt like Okada is just another guy because I feel like he was the only one that kind of had, the most credible value. He was the only one that felt like I said, the aura that differentiates itself from the rest of the elite, especially how this current gimmick is going. Because I'm like, one of these things don't fit like the other. I didn't mind the heel thing at first, but like now it's like it just doesn't really kind of feel like it connects all the way. Given, like I said, the Bucks' gimmick and how that can be silly, and I just don't think there's no reason to take Jack Perry seriously. I'm sorry, it's not. Like I said before, I just think the AEW fans wants to think he's over in the position he's in, given what happened back at All In. But I sat there like, how you really over when you damn near got your ass kicked? How you exactly over? But I feel like that was more the AEW fans pushing it to that point. And like you said, the FTR thing, we've seen it so many times, and FTR just looks like they just kind of get the crap kicked out of them a lot. Danielson, I don't even know what I can really say about Danielson and all it. And he took the pinfall out of this whole thing. He took the fall.
Yeah,
That's
see, that's what made me think that Jack Perry was going to be like next in line because they made a point of Perry getting the win and he pinned Danielson. That I feel like the next step is to push him towards Swerve. Whether I want to see that or not, whether he's a good challenger or not, that's just kind of what it feels like coming out of that match.
true. Let me ask this question. What did you think about the Tony Khan somewhat still being involved and all this? Because, we've already seen how goofy he looked when the whole thing first happened with him and the neck brace. Like, there's a reason why I said before, I think the stuff with Omega was very good. That felt more effective. The shit what they did with Tony Khan just looked goofy as fuck. Like, what do you think about him kind of getting involved again?
The original angle, I'm not disagreeing in it looking goofy because he's not a wrestler, so but I thought it was effective, especially for shock value. Like before they grabbed him up, like you wouldn't have expected them to grab this man and give him a power driver. So when it happened, I was like, oh shit. Like, but this match, I didn't like it because now you've pretty much established this being a thing. So why wouldn't this happen every week? If you're telling me that ironclad contracts, they can do whatever they want, and I know Tony is in Gorilla running the show, why would this not be a thing where they could just put their hands on him every single week? Now that you've done it too much, now that's all I'm going to be thinking about because you yourself have established this as a thing. And this was the time that took it over the edge. It was cool to do it once. His return when he pulled up in the whip, that was funny. But on this event, now I feel like not quite jumped the shark, but it's established a thing that I didn't want established, and that's Tony Khan as a character. Even if going forward he's not going to be involved, you'd have to ask yourself, well, why is he not? Because he's a part of this now. So you can't ignore it because you've made him a part of the storyline. It's one thing, like I said, the one time is fine, but now that you've gone back, like Jack Perry just straight up grabbed this guy. Why? I don't know. He just did it. Okay, now he's in the match. Now he's taking place on pay per view in matches. So now we have to establish where's the line here? Why would every week Tony Khan not be taking action against them? Or why would every week they not be putting their hands on Tony Khan? And so I didn't really like it. I mean, I didn't like it not for the same reason as other people do about, oh, here's this Mark putting himself in storyline. Like, I don't care about any of that. I'm just strictly saying from a kayfabe storyline perspective, now that you've introduced this, why would this not be a thing every single week? And you know it's not going to be, and they're not going to explain it either, which is going to make me upset. Like it's going to be a regular episode of Dynamite on Wednesday. No mention to Tony Khan. We're not going to see his face, and yet this still happened on the pay-per-view, and I'm just going to be upset about it because I'm the only guy who cares about this kind of shit.
So yeah, no, don't worry. Dave Meltzer will give this match 5 stars. Just watch out. You know he's gonna
I
go
don't
in.
even know how you rate this kind of match. Like,
That's why I
based
wouldn't even
on
call it
what?
a match. It's a damn murder simulator almost out here. That's what it really felt like. And then just like let's not play that music. Let's play my music and all of that. It's like it was different when the music was just playing throughout the whole thing without anybody kind of mentioning it. But now that you're like addressing the music, saying no, no, we don't want to hear that. I'm like, man, next I was almost expecting to hear Enter the Sandman next. I thought they were about to play that. I'm like, we're gonna now start addressing the music. Like, it was a difference when it just played. It just kept going like New Jack and all that. But when you're like addressing it, like let's turn this on, like we got to turn it off because we're paying too much money for it. I'm like, okay, this is just kind of getting really goofy now and
Oh,
stuff.
that
So
line was pretty funny, but yeah, I do agree that it's a little too meta. Like it, you know, yeah.
yeah, I get where the joke where they were going, but yeah, it was like you said, it was just too meta. And then obviously they got to go into the product advertisement with the Reebok shoes, and just like a lot of it was like I just said, I just think it was a giant spectacle, and a lot of it just this is probably one of the more goofiest Anarchy ones I've seen. Crazy, yeah, but it's almost how much can we keep jumping the shark at the same time? Because I thought this was like damn near like CZW, GCW levels of bullshit right now. And it's like you said, it's kind of weird to see Okada out here doing this, and he didn't even really do nothing crazy that much. Everybody else really did.
Yeah,
F
because it's beneath him.
it is. It's beneath them and whatnot. Like it's like it's really beneath them. Like everybody else involved. Like FTR, dude, I don't even know how many times they can keep losing at this point. I don't know. Danielson, like I said, I get what you said about Danielson with him taking a pin, but doing the whole this is Team AEW. We're fighting for the company, and I almost thought Claudio would have came back out there because didn't Claudio do a promo like a few weeks ago saying, "I don't want to see my friend get hurt. I want my friend to be okay," and all that. I'm surprised he didn't come out and get involved. I remember
Well,
him saying that like
ironically,
a few weeks ago.
this went from Team AEW to just Friends of Punk.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it was. It was Team AEW versus Friends of Punk because FTR is friends, Darby's his friend, Danielson is his friend. I'm assuming. I know people kind of blame him for getting fired, but a lot of people feel like Danielson did him a favor by letting him go back to the WWE and all that by firing him. But yeah, when you really think about it, was it really Team AEW versus the Elite, or was it just the friends of CM Punk versus the Elite, so the Elite can finally like, oh yo, we got one back on Punk, everybody. And like, dude, we've already seen the CM Punk chance. I feel like I said before the beginning of this whole match when we started talking about it, I feel like this was probably supposed to have CM Punk and all of this versus the Elite, but obviously it didn't happen. So we all know where it kind of stems back toward to, because like we said before, we've gone on from the whole video at all in. We have seen the CM Punk chance for multiple weeks, and it's almost like you're doing an angle against somebody that works in another company who we're still mentioning. That's probably one of the biggest stars back in wrestling again on the other company, which we know is not going to show up in AEW. So it's almost like I almost feel like they wanted to try to still like, oh, we can still kind of get back at CM Punk. He talked about us in that Ariel Hawani interview, so like, oh, this is us kind of, this is our big gotcha moment. But I'm like, dude, like all y'all, I've said this before already. This already kind of proved Punk's story back in the video when it was played. And it's like I said before about Jack Perry. Where does he look good coming out of it? Where does he look good coming out? Like, tell me, where does he look good? The nigga got his ass kicked damn near. So, like, how is he exactly, like I've already said before, how is he over? I explained why people think he's over, but I'm like, how is he technically over? What, because you put him in a third-rate group in New Japan? That's why he's calling himself the scapegoat with Evil and all of them? Yeah, you put him in like a 6-sub-faction Bullet Club. Like, where? Like, come tell me how. Like, tell me how. Tell me how. Like, I'll be one of the challenge folks on it sometime. Tell me how. That's why I'm going in on this shit, because like a lot of it either it doesn't make sense or the story was all over the place. And like I said for the beginning, I felt like chapters were skipped going into this. But like you said, it's May, it's double or nothing. We do an Anarchy and arena match almost every year now. So that's why they went with this and why this was the main event. Oh, and it's the 5-year anniversary of this company too. So I guess we can count that as another reason going into this. There's a reason why I'm going in on this that much and why I thought it was goofy as hell.
Yeah. Well, hey, like I said, uh, I'm not gonna steal your thunder, man. Get your shit off, bro.
So I just think it's a lot of bullshit in this. Like that's why I wonder like where did a lot of these people go on? Like and it's like I said, where are the stakes and all this? What were the stakes, huh? What were really the stakes? Like, it's not like if you lose or something like this, it's just like we know the elite was gonna win because that's where the angle is going right now. But it's not like nobody lost anything right here. It was just like we're fighting for the company and all that. And even people wonder sometimes, we talk about fighting for the company. The only AEW original right here we see fighting for the company is Darby Allin. Everybody else is a former WWE guy.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I mean, you can only do so much with that, right? Because you still have to have big names in the
True.
match. So I mean, you could put a Darby, Daniel Garcia, Sammy can come back, but like that's like, come on, you know,
Oh yeah, we need
you,
names.
there's still levels to it, you know. So I don't fault it too much for that aspect of it. I just didn't. I just know if I sat there from 12 to 12:40 sitting through this match, knowing that I already saw and have seen FTR and the Bucks interact, how I feel about how they've been handling Okada, on top of the fact that we see hardcore matches like every week pretty much, I feel like I wouldn't have walked away from this as positively as I did this morning. And I still wouldn't say I loved it because all those other issues are still there regardless when I watched it. But it did help stomaching it that I didn't watch it after 4 hours of a show of which I was mainly negative on. So when I mean when it was all said and done, I thought largely it was all right, you know. But I also don't disagree with a lot of your problems with it. Like I said, if this they made a point of Jack Perry pinning Danielson, getting the pin and on Danielson. So if the next move is to make Jack Perry a world title contender against Swerve, I mean, they gave him the ball with this whole angle, but I still don't know if he can carry it, man. Like, he's always been a good wrestler, yeah, but when it comes to being this character, like, I mean, you made the point of the team not feeling intimidating, although I don't think like the Buck shtick is them trying to be intimidating, but Jack Perry definitely feels like he's trying to be that. And I don't think he has it in him to make that land. Not that I'm rooting against him, like, because I don't know any of these guys personally, so I don't really care about all the backstage stuff. But at the same time, like when he was feuding with Christian and how personal that got and all that, I never at any point felt what I was supposed to be feeling on his end of the storyline from him talking or anything. So I don't know, man. Time will tell. I'm willing to give it a chance, but at the same time, it's like I just never seen that from you, bro. So I have a preordained thought about you based on what you've shown me, and if this is supposed to make you top guy, even if you don't win the belt, they're still pushing you as a top guy. I've never seen you as top guy material, so well, I guess we'll see.
I guess so, because like I said, I just don't think that video of Punk did him really no favors that much. I don't really think that makes him look good. But like I said to the AEW audience, they're gonna make it look good. And I'll say this, before we get to the end, I guess, Tony Khan didn't fear for his life throughout all this too. He didn't fear for his life, surprisingly. Uh
See, that's what I'm saying about the Tony Khan involvement now, man, because they've involved him too much. Whoever's idea it was, he's involved too much now for him to not be a recurring character in this story. Because now if he's not, then how does this make any sense? Why did we even do this on this show involving him if we're not involving him. If they just left it at the power driver and he was like, oh shit, I need to run the show remotely now, then fine. But when he came back and now you're putting your hands on him and dragging him down the ramp, why would he not then retaliate on the next show forever? Or why would y'all not just keep doing this to him because he's powerless? On either side, it has to continue now that you've established this. And if you don't continue it, then I'm just going to be sitting here wondering, then why the hell did we do this?
That's true. So yeah, that's a very good point. But yeah, there's a lot to really question about that. But overall, what do you think about this very long show from like overall standpoint of this entire thing? Because man, this was a marathon. This was a marathon.
Yeah, we've got two different ideologies with the two big companies on how to structure pay-per-views. You got one company who just gives you 5 matches and tries to give each match time, but the rest of the show is plagued with ads and sponsorships and all that shit. And every match doesn't need to be getting time. I don't need a 15-minute Liv Morgan match in my life, period. But the other company thinks, well, since you're paying $50 for this, we got to load this show up. And in doing so, it becomes so bloated with stuff that doesn't necessarily need to be there that the show goes so long that it takes you out of it. It's like there has to be a happy medium. I don't need my 5 match sponsorship filled card, and I don't need my 12 match card either. Give me like a smooth 7, 8 matches that each have been built properly with some stories, man. And this show was just not that. The last few shows, I didn't feel that way. But this show, once we got to the Orange Cassidy match, and then we went to Jericho, and then Takeshta lost in that pointless match with John Moxley, and then the beginning of the cage match where Adam Copeland wants to tell his epics, I was just sitting there like, holy shit, what's going on here, man? Like, I I feel like I walked away. My score of this show comes down to the highest and the lows. I love the fact that I finally got to see this woman Mercedes Moné wrestle again, and her and Willow had a really good match. I love that. I hate what they did with Takeshta. So my score pretty much comes down to trying to weigh those two things. And I feel like I'm more positive because I liked the TBS title match that much as opposed to hating the Takeshita angle that much. So I'll lean towards giving it a C, but at the same time, it's not a strong C because there was a chunk in the middle of that show where I was just like, this ain't it, man. I still got my Ospreay Roderick Strong match. I still got Swerve and Christian doing a really good match. I still got Serena and Tony Storm doing their thing. And the chaos of the main event was entertaining, albeit still had its problems, but I was entertained by it. So, you know, it was still relatively positive, even though some stuff was jaw-droppingly confusing and another thing royally pissed me off. So I'll say C, low C, not quite a C minus, but a low C.
Okay, I will say this. I think they started off pretty strong, but yeah, once they kind of got to Cassie and them, that's when they really went down, and they went down for a minute, and then they kind of came back up with the barbed wire steel cage match, and then it was kind of like a little bit of a roller coaster going in the last 3 matches in a way, depending how you want to look at whether it was good or bad. So I think it was like a up and down thing. Like they started up high, then they went really down, then they kind of came back up. But it was like in that medium of a up and down type of thing. Not saying the rest of the last 3 4 matches were bad or anything, especially because like we already just went off on the whole main event and all that. But it was like in the middle somewhat at the same time. From a grading average, I am leaning in that C minus kind of category. honestly. And like you said about the structure of how both shows do a length of their matches and all that, I think it'd be better if it was like, yeah, 7, 8, yeah. But the fact that this show went on from my time zone perspective of 6 p.m., if you're especially if we're counting the pre-show here, going all the way to like 11:30, 40 at night, that's a marathon that just goes on way too long, which I said earlier. My friend Gerard even called last night during the show when the world title match, and he was like, "Man, that show's still going. It's not over yet." I'm like, "No, we're not even at the main event yet. Yeah, it's still going and stuff." So we know how long, especially we know how AEW pay-per-views go on, and they go on very long. That's why I feel like I got to get a coffee while watching this show, just to stay up throughout the whole thing and finish the whole show within one watch and whatnot. You gotta have like something to keep you kind of hyped up and going. I'll give the crowd credit. They were mostly hyped throughout this entire show. I will say that. And like I said, there's a lot of positives and negatives, and we had a lot of returns throughout this show, from MJF to Adam Cole to Juice Robinson. Hell, you got Gangrel making an appearance here and all that. So it's really a lot to kind of dissect and cover, going up and down the whole thing. But I'd probably stick in that C minus type of category right there. Like that's my take on the whole thing. But it was just a very, very long show. But AEW pay-per-views go very long anyways.
Yeah, but usually they go off like my time at like 12:10, and that's the main event finishing at 12:10. When your main event doesn't start till 12 and it goes 30 minutes, then that's a whole other thing. I feel like if you moved Orange Cassidy and Trent to the pre-show, you waited on the MJF promo bit till Dynamite, and you just took off the Moxley Takeshita match completely, then this is a whole different conversation. I feel like it's a more tight show. It'll end at like 12, because then maybe you let other matches get a little more time, because MJF's not cutting a 10-minute promo and Moxley and Takeshita aren't going 20 minutes, and the other matches move to the pre-show instead. So you got more room to breathe with these other matches. I feel like that's a lot better than what we got, because this show going off at 12:40 my time is unacceptable, bro. I don't care what the $50 price tag. I feel you. You're doing me a favor. I got you. But at the same time, it's like nigga got to sleep, bro. We going on East Coast time for this. So well, my brother got to sleep, bro. Like, come on now. Well, I ain't going to bed at 1 o'clock with just sitting there waiting for this match to be over. Like, nah, bro. I had to watch the rest of this morning, dude. Forget that.
But no, it went on way too longer than it did. Like longer than one would expect out of this whole pay-per-view. And like I said, I know it's Memorial Day weekend, and people who got days off today and whatnot. I don't know if they thought like, well, we can keep going as long as possible. It's not like a lot of people got to go to work the next day or anything. I didn't know if they thought that, and they just wanted to capitalize on, like I said, the weekend and whatnot, and it's Vegas and stuff. But no, this went too long. This went way too long than I expected it to go. Like, I'm used to going it long, but this was longer, way longer. So like that's why I kind of still lean in that C minus category. So that's my whole take on the whole thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
I don't disagree.
yeah. But other than that, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at Hooded Knight 890. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell. Do you have anything to plug?
Plug? No, not necessarily. I mean, I'm always working on music and stuff, but nothing new. I mean, if anybody cares, the same story, blackshaggy.bandcamp.com. We still got the same heat, brewing over there that we've been had. So yeah, I'm losing my voice. So I gotta wrap it up.
Right then. But yeah, other than that, hopefully everybody out there has a safe holiday out there for Memorial Day weekend. And like I said, whenever the next review will be, um what's next? I'm trying to remember what's next.
TNA's going to have something soon. I don't remember what, but
Oh yeah,
we'll
against
see.
all odds. I may go to that one. It is over here. I'm not sure. I haven't decided if I want to go to that one yet.
Yeah, we'll see where all that's looking like, but I think that's the next show since we both watch TNA.
Yes, well, yeah, Against All Odds, or I think that's on a Friday. Well, that's one of the plus shows, honestly. But then again, like the next real big one ain't till Slammiversary. But we still got the Castle like in a few weeks.
Yeah, their pay-per-view schedule is kind of crazy. We're just kind of pumping them out over there at WWE.
It's like every few weeks, like every 2-3
Hey,
weeks, is a new pay
get
per
that
view happen.
money.
TKO,
Get that money. Yeah,
TKO.
man, they're all about it. They say we in our get the bag era, so hey, more power to
Yes,
them.
that's TKO. But other than that, we out of here. See y'all then. Peace out.